Hello. Today I'll be looking at each Dota 2 character to see how well they can be translated to League of Legends. I will be analyzing their base kit and identity as if they were plucked from Dota 2 and placed in Summoner's Rift. Since these games have different mechanics and items, there are a few key things I'll try to keep in mind as I talk about the heroes. 1. League does not have Blink Dagger or Black King Bar, which will affect how I think the Dota character will exist in League. 2. Conversely, League of Legends champions, and extension, the Dota characters will have access to summoner spells. 3. I will not be adding brand new mechanics that already do not exist in League. The tiers go as follows from bottom to top. Can't tier refers to characters who have mechanics/systems that are integral to the identity of the hero who are just not able to be put into League due to the engine or control scheme. In very rare instances, I'll put characters who have such an egregiously toxic playstyle that it goes against what makes League of Legends enjoyable to play. Unhealthy for the game refers to heroes that, if added, as they are into League, would promote degenerate or boring playstyles that would very much ruin the fun to play with or against. Needs tweaks/slight rework, fairly self-explanatory, just to change with their buttons or even roll, and they can work in League. Low impact refers to heroes who can be added to League as is, but they won't seem to really add anything unique to the roster. Good addition refers to characters who can be added to League as is, but they fit right in with minimal changes. Imba, or imbalance, will talk about heroes who, if added, will just be extremely overwhelmingly powerful or has a game warping ability. With all that said, let's get started. First character will be Abaddon. Now, the thing about Abaddon is he's kind of like a strange character to talk about because in order to really get to talking about him is that Aphotic Shield is kind of his entire character and plus his ultimate. The rest of the two abilities are kind of whatever. And if that's the case, then the one thing about Aphotic Shield is that it'd be really strong in League because dispels are really hard to come by. There's like Milio and Cleanse and Mikhail's, which every character can buy. But having it that free to have on a pretty low cooldown as a basic ability, I don't know how that would really affect the lane. And his ultimate, which he just simply can't die, which might prove to be annoying, especially if he goes into the top lane. He just walks around kind of like a poor man's Tryndamere. Yeah, I think in this case, the fact that his W is a Dispel Shield and his ultimate just makes it so that he never has to die. I think for Abaddon specifically, he might need to go into the unhealthy for the game because laning with this against certain characters and team cops and with certain laners, I think he'd just be really annoying to deal with. All right, next up we have Alchemist. I'm tempted to put him in unhealthy or Imba, but the thing is with Alchemist is that his whole gimmick is that he just gets money. And money generation in League is a little tough to get by. Basically, Greevil's greed. It's the only reason why you would ever pick this character, to get more money, and just constantly stacking that up to be the richest character in the game. I think that him by itself just makes him way too strong, because TF has like a really poor man's version of Greevil's greed. And his passive is really good. It makes him, if you're good enough with last hitting, you can really just get ahead in the lane. And this is just that on steroids. In order for him to like exist in League, you would really need to nerf this to a point where it's like not even really Alchemist anymore. He's just melee TF who can run around and like run around and maybe stun people. Also, his stun is like it's AOE, but if he doesn't throw it in time, it stuns himself, which self CC is not really a thing in League. It's probably a bad idea. And Chemical Rage is just like a really annoying, really strong steroid. Yeah, I think for in this instance, Alchemist would need to be unhealthy. Just getting that much money that fast, probably not a good idea to have in League. Alright, next we have AA. And this really comes down to AA's ultimate, Ancient Apparition. Um, Basically, at a certain point, this ability will shut down certain characters completely. But he would need to land it, and landing it, while not really the hardest thing in the world, might require a couple things to set up, and it's global, so it's gonna be really, really hard to deal with. It's gonna be really hard to deal with and predict, and it can hit people in the fountain. So that being the case, I don't think it would be unhealthy for the game because there are a lot of teams that just kind of survive, but just constantly healing, and a way to shut that down be in a AOE setting would be really, really strong. That would it would a little bit devalue Grievous Wounds, but me personally, I don't really value Grievous Wounds that much. Um, I think for AA, in that case, to prevent all healing is like really strong. I would have to place him maybe, but as an ultimate, I think that might be okay. And it's like he can miss it, and it's up to him to hit it. He might go into Imba just because of that. His ultimate's way too strong, and the rest of the abilities aren't bad. It's just it requires setup, and him just kind of being an ult bot. While that might not be like the most ideal thing for him to be, it's kind of what he is. It's like the only reason to ever pick AA is for his ultimate that prevents all healing. Yeah, I think he's our first Imba character. All right. So next up we have Anti Mage. Um, I think just straight up this character needs to just go into unhealthy for the game. For one, this character's entire purpose is to, as you can tell by his name, Anti Mage, just be a complete asshole to all mages, and that would not be healthy at all. Yeah, just help counterspell if he just presses it correctly, can just reverse abilities, kind of like Mel, and no one likes Mel. And burning mana probably just shouldn't be in League. Those two things alone would make him way too fucking annoying to deal with. And he has a free flash. Of course, we can like make it shorter, but just having a free flash like this, maybe not really fun to play with. Also, it would be weird for him to interact with characters who don't have mana. There is one character in League, not League, Dota, that's Huskar. I don't remember how the interaction works. I don't think it does. It will do damage because technically he doesn't have one. He doesn't have mana to lose with. So against certain characters, we want to pass on that philosophy. Then he would do 0 damage to like Riven and like May and Viego, which probably wouldn't be a good idea. So just a overall bad addition if we try to put him into the game. And next up, Arc Warden. Arc Warden just can't be in the game for a lot of different reasons, but the main one being is his ultimate Tempest Double. The reason you would pick him, he just creates a new copy for himself, which copies all of his items. Now, this is a problem because League doesn't really have a mechanic to control another unit. But even if it would be the case, it'd be way too strong to deal with. He could just send it to another lane, just destroy towers, eat towers, and then you have to spend like have a lot of your teammates go and deal with it. And he could like this ability could like be a 2-minute cooldown and be annoying to deal with because League doesn't have a fast option to go back to base to deal with split pushing in this capacity. And he would like drag out games to like 50-60 minutes just by being in the game. And really it'd just be way too annoying and just impossible for League to implement. And next character we have Axe. How do we feel about X? So the thing with X that makes it a little hard to judge is he can't really get into the middle of a crowd as easily because Blink Dagger is not in the game. I would imagine he would Berserker's Call. He would need to flash Berserker's Call, but he can only do that once every 5 minutes, or shorter if you take the Cosmic Insight rune, I think. This alone would be a really strong thing for him to do. Be a big CC buff, but I think he would have trouble trying to get in. And he doesn't really have any innate mobility unless we count Battle Hunger, which as a point-click debuff, which slows, but it's not very spammable early. And I don't think, like, I think Counter Helix has a place in League. I don't think there's any other character who has a similar ability like this. We may not make it pure, because pure would be a little too strange, but that can be adjusted. His ultimate, though, it might be too similar to Darius's, but it could be unique in that it will just outright kill. The thing with this ability is that it outright kills people. There's no, like, it deals X amount of damage, and they die. No, it just straight up kills people, including other characters who are not supposed to die, quote unquote, under the effects, which would set him apart from that other guy. What's his name? Darius. So it would something be like this, and yeah. Oh, he can't die. Psych. Now he could die, which he might carve out a unique niche with that. And it does reset, so it would only really be applicable to a very few characters. But I think Axe can be in the League. He has a lot of weaknesses and counterplay that I think he would be manageable. It's just like the only thing we would need to change is how he would get in. Give him like maybe a small change to his kit. Battle Hunger could probably be changed to it'd be a little more potent, so he can get into the fight a little easier. And yeah, I think he can have a place, and also, you know, to kill Tryndamere outright, which that'd be pretty dope. Next up we have Bane. The thing with Bane is that his main thing is that he's like a setup stun character. Well, not even stun, just sleep. A weird like anti-carry character. The only thing that, like, the biggest problem is that Nightmare would be his most influential ability, where you just point click someone to go to sleep. I don't know if that's like strong enough to justify his existence in the game. It does have the unique effect where if someone tries to auto attack him, then he can't make him wake up, which could be worth something, but I don't think that would be enough. The other abilities are just like annoying ass debuffs to deal with, like attack damage reduction. This ability got changed like 50 times, so they can, if you were to come to the League, it would just be something different, be more in line with the game. This is just a point nuke, which heals and damages. Who cares? And Fiend's Grip, which is just larger Malzahar ultimate for longer. And I don't think we want support Malzahar again. Yeah, I think he would just be way too redundant of a character to put into League, so I would probably put him unhealthy, because we don't want like just another point and click stun for really that long like Malzahar. Next up we have Batrider. Batrider would really struggle in order to find a place in the game, because the thing with Batrider is that the main thing with Batrider is he needs to get in and basically flaming lasso, which is an old version of Skarner Ultimate with old Skarner, my beloved. And it would be difficult for him to get in because there is no, like I said, no Blink Dagger. So every single time he would need to get in, he would need to flash, which I guess it would still be useful. And he has the ability to free path. He would be able to free path as like part of his like character, which also would be useful, but I think the most unique thing about Batrider would be his sticky napalm, which is a stackable slow that increases damage with every stack. So every instance, he would deal more damage, but he would be a combination of Singed and Skarner, which I don't think we really want. So I think for Batrider, he would need to be in the unhealthy for the game. He's like way too similar. He fills a niche that two characters kind of do, and it'd be really annoying to deal with. And also, he kind of lacks the tools to be able to get in. Next up, we have Beastmaster. Beastmaster is interesting in that he's aside from like this, he's a pretty simple character to get behind mechanically. The main thing that I think will be the hardest to deal with Beastmaster is how they would deal with the boar in particular, because it is a unit that you can select and it will attack. It's just a ranged unit that can slow people with its autos, which isn't that big of a deal. Like, there are characters who just have a slowing pet. The bird he can summon the bird, which kind of circles around him and just die bombs every 4 seconds. We can change. It could probably be changed to do something different. Yeah, it just kind of just does that. It says it looks like it does a slight root. I guess it does. That would need to be changed. His whirling axes would be pretty easy to deal with. Like, I think it's a unique targeting for ability. It's kind of like 2 Diana Qs. And his ultimate is also just another point-and-click stun, but that can easily be changed to a skill shot, where the first enemy it hits, it'll stun them, and then everyone else will be blown back, as it is in this game. I think Beastmaster can be in Dota 2. The only thing is that the boar will need to be changed in a way that's not annoying as fuck to play with or against. Then we have Bloodseeker. Bloodsuka. With Bloodseeker, he would be an interesting character to put into League, but he would need to be extremely toned down. The main thing is Thirst, which is it's just Warwick. It's just a Warwick passive, and yeah, it's just Warwick passive, but it also can kind of heal him. He has this is the main thing that would make him a little redundant, but Bloodright, this massive AOE explosion that also silences, that would probably need to be smaller, and instead of silencing, it would probably need to be like a slow of some sort. And this is just like a attack speed buff. It does not silence you. I don't know why that's in the game. Yeah, it's just the attack speed buff. That's really it. The main thing is how Ruptured would be handled in the League. I think it'd be a unique way to deter the really mobile characters from moving, because instead of it just outright stunning you and making it so like you can't fucking move, it instead makes it so that you are discouraged from moving, or you take a bunch of damage from each unit that you moved. It could be a unique way to put down some of the more really mobile characters like Ari, Riven, and Yi. But there's like counterplay on that. You'll need a guy to heal, or if like you don't really need to move that much, or yeah, it's probably useless in like a melee fight because they're already on top of you. The only thing is that I think Thirst might need to be slightly changed, and Bloodright will need to be smaller and less potent of an ability. But aside from that, I think he can be in the game. He can bring something unique. Next up, we have Bounty Hunter. Bounty Hunter is gonna be a running theme with Bounty Hunter that will begin is that he is an invis character, and invisibility in pretty much every game is annoying as hell to deal with. League doesn't have that many tools to deal with invisibility except for a control ward, which already isn't the ideal way to deal with invis because you can only place one per character. So a way to change this would need to just be camouflage. Make the spotting range around like where Evelyn or Twitch will be spotted, or even make it bigger if you want. The main thing that would be that Bounty Hunter would bring to the table would be track. I think track as an ability, it would just grant true sight of the target and just means vision just constantly as long as the debuff is on. And if they die, they just drop extra gold. I think there is some value to this. There's actually a lot of value to this because it enables snowballing really hard, but like it doesn't do anything really in fights. There's not really a combat ability. You can like throw a shuriken, which it's like a point. You can make it a skill shot. It's just a nuke that deals magic damage and slows, and his auto attack steals money. It probably won't need to. It probably can't steal money. It would probably need to just give himself money, which really wouldn't be that useful. How would I expect Bounty Hunter exist is either a really cheesy jungler who can't clear it all, or a support who just once they hit 6, you'll need to be like with a Draven or like a character who can really take advantage of track and start beginning to snowball. Bounty Draven would sound like a horrible fucking thing to deal with if the Draven starts getting going. But I do think Bounty Hunter does have a place in League of Legends. It's just he would need to be track would need to be toned down with how much gold he gives and how long it will last. But aside from that, I think he can work, but it will need a little bit of tweaking in how it categorizes invis. So instead of true invisibility, it would just need to be a camouflage. Alright. And the next up, we have Brewmaster, who I'm just going to put into Cant. Like, this character's ultimate is the reason why he can't be in the game. Where is he? Yeah, Brew. Yeah, his ultimate Primal Split, as you can see in the video, it just spawns 4 motherfuckers where you need to control each individual one, and I don't think Lee can do that. And even if there was some way they could figure out how to do it, this would be way too annoying to play with, way too many things to consider. Yeah, like a stun, a stasis ability, dispel, a guy just run you down and fuck you up, and a displacement ability. He'd just be way too strong. He would go in the top lane and then farm till 6, and then just start running rampant around the map, and he would be impossible to deal with unless you could burst down the little pandas, which maybe you can, but it's just way too much effort. And yeah, it's just not possible. Next up we have Bristleback. Bristleback is... I think Bristleback actually might be okay in League. Now, the only thing about Bristleback that might be an issue is how this character exists in League is that it requires some cooperation with the enemy team to hit him in a certain way, where this ability right here, Bristleback, this is what he's named after. Yeah, so in order for this to work, the enemies will just need to be hitting him in the back. He'll take reduced damage, and at a certain threshold, he will let out kill spray, which will just stack indefinitely and deal damage. So he'll be the character who, don't chase Singe, don't bother chasing Bristleback, because then he'll like just try and kill you. The thing about him is that League of Legends doesn't really have a turn rate. People just turn automatically, and as you can see here, I'm clicking back and forth. He take like half a second to turn around. It's not a lot, but it is enough so that like trying to position yourself will take a little more effort and not instantaneous, just switching back and forth just to take like large amounts of damage. So I think Bristleback would just need to be toned down a lot, and that would be the main thing that I think that would reel him in. He doesn't really have an ultimate. Like Warpath's not really an ultimate. It's just a buff to himself. So I'm guessing in certain comps, against certain comps, like I don't think Seraphine would be able to like against a Seraphine comp. This character probably doesn't really do much. He'll run in, gets stunned by like an Ashe, and then Kha'Zix eats his face and he dies. Like this character probably won't be doing much in those certain comps, but in other comps, yeah, I think he can shine. He would be annoying to play against, but I think he would be manageable. Also, the fact that there's no break, which would just remove passives, would also make him a little stronger in League, but you just don't necessarily need a break in order to deal with Bristleback in Dota 2, and even then, some games where you do get the break, it's just not enough to keep him down. So, do I put in good addition? I think this will be our first good addition to League of Legends. Bristleback probably enter the game, have a really weak early game because he would just get shit stomped by like certain characters. Gnar would probably have an easy time with him. Yorick, Set would probably eat him. Darius especially, he just can't deal with. And he would shine mid game, and depending how late game versus certain comps, he would be a little hard to deal with. Next, we have Brood Mother. I think Brood Mother just needs to go into the can't tier. Brood Mother just has way too many tools that League of Legends characters just cannot deal with. One of them, the main thing I have in mind is spawn Spirelings. After she kills a unit, she just has a bunch of Spirelings to just run around that she controls to kill people with. It'll be really hard to deal with. Elise, the obvious comparison point to like the spider character would be Elise. I think Elise's spiders, it would need to work like Elise's spiders, but I don't think that can work because of how she has spin web, where she just places it on the ground and she has a bunch of charges that can be around the map, and she can just place them and have free roam. She just walks over trees and bushes and walls with impunity, with high as fuck movement speed. And if the spiders were to work like Elise's spiders, where she just needs to like either auto or like auto them and they immediately attack, it would be way too annoying to deal with. And also killing the spiders would be really annoying. She would just be a split bush beast like she is in Dota, and yeah, that would be really shitty, and I don't think anyone would want to deal with. And plus, controlling the Spirelings would just not be possible. Next up, we have Centaur Warrunner. Oh, he's Centaur Warlord. Excuse me, that's his old name. So the thing with Centaur it is Centaur Warrunner. I thought they changed it to Warlord. Okay. I think Centaur Warrunner can be in League. He's just he's a very simple character. He has a moving AoE stun. Moving AoE stun is like Alistar Q. Double Edge is a unique ability where it hurts the enemy and himself, kind of like Olaf, but it actually will matter against Centaur. And Retaliate is a interesting ability where he kind of just has an innate Thorn Mail, which would be annoying against certain characters, mainly a lot of like just hit him a bunch characters. Urgot would probably not like this. Yi Yi would have a tough time early at least. Although it will scale off of HP, so there is something to consider there. But the main thing is I think his ultimate would be really interesting. It's where he just gives everyone like a ton of movement speed across the map. Kind of like how Karma Mantra E will just give everyone a massive speed boost and also give like a Sivir speed boost. It could be it's very stackable. This could be dangerous. I don't know how much we would want this. And also would make them immune to slows, which I don't know if Sivir makes them immune to slows. I think the main thing is that this ultimate may need to be changed to not be as... Well, no, we could just make it global, and then he would have utility if he's not there. And it would last a lot longer, a lot shorter. Maybe like a 2 minute, not 2 minute, 2 second duration. Yeah, I think Centaur has a place. I don't know if he'd be a good addition. I think he will need to be tweaked slightly with his ultimate to not just overlap with Sivir ult. But I think he can be in there. Next, we have Chaos Knight. Chaos Knight. I do like you, but the thing with Chaos Knight that I have a hard time dealing with is he is an illusion character, but microing them isn't that important. He just he just will deal a ton of damage. And he'll just deal a ton of damage. Like, I need to show how much damage this character is just capable of doing. So we're just gonna level myself up to 6. A typical Chaos Knight. And I guess an 8 crit, which would probably be an issue. We're gonna get a somewhat naturally tanky character. Magnus, sure. Alright, and Magnus, we'll level him up. He's a little low, okay. So I press Alt, and, yeah. That's probably not the best demonstration, but you kind of get the idea where this character with items and scaling off a lot of attack damage, it would probably kill anyone he chooses to. He would pick one character to die. Also, has a point-and-click stun, which is random, whether it deals a lot of damage, low stun, or a high stun with low damage. Yeah, I don't think... Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say this, I don't think he'd be good for the game. He's just like a big fucking guy who a lot of characters have a tough time dealing with, and just pick one character to just immediately eliminate. And then you have to deal with a bunch of him. Yeah, unfortunate. Next is Chen. Chen, he just can't be in the game. His whole deal is that he can control jungle creeps. That's not really in the game. I don't think it'll ever be in the game. Also, the jungle creeps will need to be able to do unique things, which I don't think there's any plans for. They all can just auto-attack each other, which it's something, but not really for Chen. That's all you need to know. The rest of his abilities are kind of superfluous. That's what he's known for, controlling jungle creeps. Next is Clinks. The thing with Clinks is that this character, as he is now, I just don't really think he has a place in the game. He would just be kind of a worse version of Twitch, Or he kind of goes invis and then pops up next to someone and then just tries to one shot them. Yeah, like as you can see in the video, he's just invis and then pops up and blah, and you die. Although there is one version of Clinks that I do think might have a place in the game where this used to be his ultimate, and he still had the invis, I'm pretty sure, where he just summons a bunch of skeletons to like go and start attacking you. And you could target that with his tar bomb, which is just a point click slow, basically. I think that Clinks can be in the game. I think he would bring in a unique way where you just come in with the cavalry and just pick a dude to try and shoot down with your army of skellies. And then if he ends up living, then you have just a line of skeletons that will just kind of attack whatever. It would be kind of a summoning tool. I think if that Clinks, he might be able to be in the game, but not the one we're in right now. In fact, I'm probably going to put him in needs tweak / slight rework. Bring that Clinks version back, and there's probably a spot for him here. Next we have Clockwork. Now, Clockwork is this character, Clockwork. How do we feel about him being in League of Legends? Now, the thing about Clockwork is that he's mainly a very annoying utility character. He has this ability called Battery Assault. It's kind of similar to Mundo W. Actually, not really. It's just it creates an AoE around him where he stuns. He does a mini stun next to anyone he stands next to, which can be annoying, but you would put him into danger. He also has Power Cogs, which is he just creates a small Jarvan ultimate around him. He can break himself out of it by auto attacking the cogs, and people who do touch it get their mana and health drained from them. And this would be Ashe Hawkshot, where it just gives vision. And ultimates would just, how would it do? It would be similar to Nautilus Q, but it can go through walls, and he just immediately goes to them, and and the range is like massive. That would be the main draw of it. See, I can even reach all the way down here. Yeah, there we go. Where would he go? I think he would probably be a jungler, but he would be really fucking annoying to deal with. I don't know. I don't think he would. Like, his kit is nothing super egregious, but the combination of all would just make him super annoying and just be a complete horror to play against if the guy is experienced with Clockwork and can just use his abilities properly. I think for that reason, yeah, he can just do so much. He could just do so much with one pick. Like, his kill pressure isn't even that bad. He just stands next to a guy. Would he be a top laner or a jungler? I feel like with the jungle, he'd just clearly be pretty bad. But then after he gets 6, he just spam ganks. Or even level 2. He could literally just walk into a lane, press cogs, and like try and walk at them. He might just get fucked up though. I'm not sure if he'd be unhealthy or a good addition, because he can miss the hook, and it is embarrassing and funny if he misses the hook. I think I'll tentatively put him in good addition. I think if some of his hook shot range was toned back, I think he has a place where he's just the initiator guy. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. Alright. Next up, we have Crystal Maiden, aka Rally. Uh, so I do play this character a bunch. Uh, the thing is that this character's abilities, she's just not very impressive. Um, she's just not very impressive for the most part. Like, the reason you would get her is for Frostbite, which is a point click route, which is good. I'm not saying that's never bad. It's just that's all she does. Like, she has Arcane Aura, which gives people mana, but like even in Dota, like this mana regen's like not great. It's like 1 in 1 if you're not near her, and 3 if you're close to her. You can make it higher, but like it's not gonna do anything in lane. She has a support character, and like having your Jinx have a couple, getting her zap a couple like 15 seconds earlier is like not 15 seconds earlier, just like having enough to cast it in lane. It's probably not that big of a deal. Her ultimate, while it does look pretty flashy and cool, um, it works like Gangplank ultimate where it's random what happened with it deals damage like old Gangplank ultimate, and it's a channel, so anyone with a modicum of a stun can just stop it. And there are some games in this game where I just don't cast the ability because I can't get away with it. And she does have a really big AoE nuke slow, but it's probably going to be like toned down in League because who would want to just get spammed by this? Like, it's not going to be fun, or really at a certain point it just won't be useful. The main reason would be a Frostbite, which it would be point and click, sure, but I don't think that would be enough for her to really do anything good, or like be a pick like immediately. Like, yeah, sure, she can like stop Riven from playing, but then like I don't know, I feel like you could just do that with like another character who can do more than just be a root bot. I think she's their first low impact character if they were added into League. Next we have Darkseer. How do I feel about Darkseer? Darkseer. I think Darkseer. Yeah, you know what? With Darkseer, I'm just gonna get this out of the way here. I think he'd be an Imba character. Now, the reason why is that not because he does like a ton of damage. He'd just be a mega utility character, where he has basically 3 ultimates in one character. In League terms, where this ability would just basically win lane. Like, he just puts a shell on himself, gives himself a really low range bombing cinder, but it ticks faster and it does more damage. Then Vacuum. What's the League equivalent for Vacuum? I'll just show you what it does. Oh, it's like Rel. It's like Rel Ultimate, but it works instantaneously. Yeah. Oh no, they're spread out. All right, team, go get them. Like, that's the shit's crazy. No wonder this ability has a 30-second cooldown at max rank and a minute cooldown. So yeah, this ability's I think in the history of Dota 2, this ability has been nothing but nerfed for his existence. And he has Surge, which basically gives someone a Yi ultimate for kind of a long time, and he can't be slowed, which would just enable so many characters to just go on a tear. And Wall of Replica, which would be a really cool ability, where it would just create copies. It would create copies, and that would just beat the shit of anyone who passes through it. Kind of like Mord, although not really. But I think that would be really strong against certain characters. But overall, like, this character can just do way too much, and they're extremely impactful. So I think he would just need to go to Imba. I could just imagine him going into a solo lane and just not interacting with the laner because he just doesn't need to. Because he could cast this also on creeps, on yours and his, and just not interact with the laner. And in certain matchups, he may just able to just walk on them and they just die from his Ion Shell. And late game, he would just be a fucking terror to play against. Next we have Dark Willow. How do we feel about Dark Willow? So Dark Willow. She is another support character, but like the way she's like, she supports in a way where it's just isn't really specialized in anything. Like she can put down this field of brambles where if they walk into them, they get rooted for a pretty, I guess 2.5 seconds, but it would probably be to be lower in league. Shadow Realm is a very selfish ability. She just can't be hit or targeted. And then it gives an empowered auto, which would be the harassing tool in lane. And then Curse Crown, a delayed stun. After 4 seconds, it just counts down and then it stuns an enemy. Which, not to say it's not useful, we just probably need a more active way to put CC on people. And then Terrorize would be a unique ultimate. It's just an AoE fear, which fears, I don't know how useful it would be against certain characters, because you would most likely want characters who are CC to stay in place or walk towards you, but the Terrorize ability would make it so that they just run away, which can be kind of grief. Bedlam just would not be in the game. It's just there's not enough buttons to her, and like it's a corny cheese ability anyway. I don't know. I think she would be good, honestly. I think Bramble would be a unique way to create CC, just like a pool of root mines. It would be annoying to deal with. Yeah, it would be a lot smaller for sure. I think she can be. I think she can be in the game. It just needs some retooling with her abilities for her to fit within the league cast. All right, next up we have Dazzle. Dazzle. So right off the bat, the main thing about Dazzle is that he can give anyone Tryndamere ultimate, and that's probably not a good idea because Renata does like a very diet version of that. Yeah, there's a very diet version of that where if they die, then they come back to life if they kill someone. And people already don't like that. So imagine if I just give Tryndamere ultimate to somebody and like they just can't die. Yeah, no, unhealthy. No, unhealthy. Get out of here. Unhealthy. His other abilities are also like not useless, except for this. This ability would be just an annoying lane ability where he just casts on somebody and he just autos them and it just stays on them forever. And this is just a heal that bounces, kind of like Nami Splash. I don't know what the ability's called. And this is a Yone. He stole this from Yone for once. Dota steals from League, where he comes out of his body and then it buffs his abilities. This becomes a Hex. This heals at the end of the duration. Yeah, this character would just be unhealthy if he were just be added in League of Legends. And then next we have Death Prophet. DP. What is DP? What are we doing with you? The thing with Death Prophet is that her role in League is that she's just kind of like a weird, somewhat tanky mid laner who pushes waves and then roams to try and kill somebody and push towers. we would need to introduce a character whose abilities can hit tower. And I don't know, are there characters in League? Oh, there's Ziggs, but that's just to execute towers. This will just be another mage tower pusher, which I don't know if we need that. I'll just show you what it looks like. Yeah, she presses the button, bunch of ghosties come out, and then they just go and go hit the tower, my guys. She autos, and they go start hitting it. That's like the main reason to pick her. Of course, she has other abilities. This is a line nuke, and this is an AoE silence, which it has a projectile, but it's like not really easy to see. And this is a drain ability, similar to Field 6, but she can walk. I think if this were kept in, that she can hit towers with exorcism, that might not be good. I don't think that would be good for the game, because then she would just group up with her team. They would just walk into the tower. She presses R, and then the tower's gone. I don't think that'd be fun to deal with. I don't think she'd be healthy. No. Next we have my friend Disruptor. I think we'll just put him in good addition. Disruptor is another support, but he supports in a unique way from the rest of the other characters, where his main thing is that he has the ability Glimpse. And how this works is that when he casts it on a character, then they will teleport to where they were 4 seconds ago. Now, this will probably need to be changed to be a smaller window from like maybe 2 seconds ago, because 4 seconds is a pretty large time. It has grief potential. Yeah, because sometimes you might accidentally save a character who ran in unknowingly, and if you just panic cast it, then he's just back to where he was. But it's a good catching tool if someone's trying to run away. You cast it, and then here Magnus is running away. No. All right. Magnus is running away. No, where are you going? And yeah, he's back. 4 seconds ago, he was there. Yeah, that would be pretty useful, pretty unique way to support. His other abilities are also would be of use. Kinetic Field, he just puts up a cage where it's just hard for them to get out. Kind of like Yorick W, but it's a lot bigger, so they have a little more space to move in. I don't think they can run out of it. I don't think so. Let me check. I don't think I did that correctly. But I'm pretty sure they can't. Yeah, they just can't pass it, so that they just can't run through it. But spell immune characters can, so Olaf can probably run through it. Malphite can probably run through it. And who else would probably run through it? Unstoppable characters can go through it. Yeah, and Scion would also be able to run through it because it's not actual terrain. It's just something that prevents you from running through it. Thunderstrike, this ability will just probably need to be changed, where this ability can probably just not deal damage and still be annoying as fuck to deal with, because it's just on them, gives vision, and it slows them every time it pulses. The main thing that would also need to be changed is Static Storm, where it immediately silences people who are in it. It would probably need to work like Victor W, where they need to stand in it for a certain amount of time and then the effect would happen. But aside from that, I think Disruptor would have a pretty good place in League of Legends. So that's why I put him in the good addition tag. Next up, we have Doom. How do I feel about Doom being in League of Legends? So the thing with Doom is that they're missing Dawnbreaker here. Oh shit. Okay, we're gonna have to put in Dawnbreaker later. Thing about Doom, how I feel is that Doom is a character where the main thing with Doom is his namesake ability Doom, where basically he just picks one character in a fight who's just not allowed to play. So yeah, how it works is just yeah, just picks a character. You're just not allowed to play. It's a silence that lasts for a while, and they can't heal out of it. It used to also mute items, but that's the same thing in League of Legends. The silence also affects items. That's like his only problematic ability. Aside from that, I think he's actually okay. Devour obviously can't just take the abilities of jungle creeps. Nunu kind of has this ability too. It can work similarly to Nunu, but it would probably need to be changed maybe a little bit in order to make it distinct, but I don't know what you would change it to. W is actually a kind of unique ability. You just press it. He has an activable large Sunfire cape. He moves faster, and he has an auto attack stun that also deals max health damage. Very rare in Dota 2, but somewhat Diamond does it in League of Legends. But yeah, the only thing that's problematic is Doom the ability, because this is just super unfun to play against, and that might be just what holds him back. Honestly, because of just Doom and his ability, he just needs to be. He's unhealthy. Like I can't imagine Doom being in the game. Next is I guess the poster child for Dota 2, Dragon Knight. Yeah. The only thing that I have to say about Dragon Knight is that the he's just the character is just not really specialized in any way. He's just like a regular tower pusher. His main thing is like he can turn into a dragon, and his range and his auto attacks do special things like they splash, have a cleave, and then they deal extra damage to towers. Which I guess is fine. It's just I just don't know what else. He has a point and click stun, which would be useful. He's kind of like very anti-carry-ish. He has very natural tankiness. This will just reduce attack damage, and he has an AoE stun, not an AoE stun, point and click stun, which it stuns for a bit, but like, would that be enough to make him like a desirable character? Just be a tanky tower pusher? I'm not sure. I think like if you would want him in a solo lane, because that's where he normally is, either mid or top, I feel like you could do a lot more than just like a point and click stunner. Like it would just be like I don't know. I think you would get a lot more from like a Nautilus top even, or who else? Like I'm trying to imagine who has like a stun on like a point and click stun at that range. Like yeah, I don't know. I just don't really feel like he would really he would really add much to League. So for him, I will put him in low impact. Yeah, I just don't really know why you would ever really pick him if you was in League of Legends. Next is Drow Ranger, who does in fact look like Ashe. So here we go. Yeah, we'll see what the deal is with her. Initial thoughts. Like her main thing that you would pick her for is she's a long range carry who has a built-in last whisper. I don't know how valuable that with slow models. Aside from that, it's just like this is like a better version of Ash W. She has a knockback silence, which can be useful for keep away, and yeah, a slowing autos, which Ash also has. And aside from that, I don't know. It feels like she would just kind of just be another 80 carry, but like Ash with a couple with less utility. I just don't. She also like in the carry role. I think you would want more from your 80 carry than just in built-in like a built-in last whisper. I guess I would leave her with more items to be able to use, but the weakness of Drow is that when you get close to her, she's like really defenseless. So
there's a lack of like blink and like BKB and like force staff to be even to make it so that she can like survive and fight. So she would probably die really easily. I guess Runans would be good on her. The marksmanship would go to her. I think she would be able to be added to League. It's just she wouldn't really do really anything special. It should be good into like tank characters, but like there's other characters who can do that job easier and safer and more potent ways than her. So I think should be low impact. Next we have Earthshaker, owner of the $6 million Earth Slam, Echo Slam. Where are you, Earthshaker? Is Earth Spirit also not on this list? Yeah, this list is missing some people. No, Earth Spirit is on here. Okay. So here we are. So we have Earthshaker. Now, Earthshaker's a pretty unique character where he's mainly like a stun. He's a stun bot mainly, but his main thing is that his Echo Slam ability, which when pressed it just causes damage to reverberate through all units, and it causes more damage the more units are in this big radius. I think honestly, Earthshaker can be in League of Legends pretty well. Like Fissure is a pretty unique stun. Is a unique stun, makes impassable terrain. It'd be really strong. Enchant Totem mainly is just to proc his stun passive, and it makes it so that his next auto attack hits like a train, which would be useful for last hitting. The issue is that since there's no Blink Dagger and no Aghanim Scepter, which causes him to jump, he would be a hard time capitalizing on his ultimate, which there is ways to get around. Of course, there's always Flash, but one thing that I think could work is that you could just make this his passive. This causes the area around him to create a small shockwave stun. You can just make that his passive and make the Aghanims, which causes him to jump, his E. It wouldn't have like... It probably wouldn't cause the aftershock, but he would just jump with no stun. And that would cause him to be able to Echo Slam and make those big, amazing plays that people really love to see. I think he could be fit with League with that type of change. So I will put him in the tweaks light rework. You would just need to replace Aftershock with that jump ability that I would suggest, and I think he can find a place in League of Legends. Earth Spirit. I don't know. Jesus, Earth Spirit. He's like probably the hardest support to play. The issue is like how remnants would need to work in the game. Because remnants has its own separate button, and it just basically how it augments all of his abilities. It enables everything. Remnants, they just don't do anything when you place them. This would make it so that when he rolls into the remnant, regularly he's just, wow, very puny. But when he rolls into it, yeah, he fucking flies off And then Boulder Slash literally doesn't do anything unless there's a remnant next to him. And his E pulls it to him, which also creates a silence. And his Magnetize, which... The way to explain it is like... he presses it. Yeah, and then it just creates like a ticking damage, and if it's next to remnants, it makes the the duration higher, which can be very disruptive in big team fights, and you can just place the remnants everywhere. If I were to put him in League of Legends, it would be so that the remnants would act like Zyra plants, where they just appear randomly, which he would need to expend either his E or his Q in order to put them in positions where he would be able to play around. But I think with that stipulation, I think Earthshaker can exist in League. I think he has a unique place where he can make plays with the rocks and then be very disruptive in team fights. He'll be supportive where you can play him in the maybe even jungle or in this whole lane. He's a very flexible character, so I think he can go in those places. Um, next we have a personal favorite of mine, Elder Titan. Um, Elder Titan is I think if you were to be put into League, he would be quite powerful, but he would add a pretty unique thing to the game. So the thing to note is that he has a stomp ability that is copied through his spirit right here, where if he presses, it's a channeled stop. There's a channeled ability, and once it goes off, this whole thing causes a sleep. And yeah, so he slept. It's a pretty long wind up, and it's very telegraphed. The only thing with the Astral Spirit is like once it appears and it walks through units, it gives him armor and damage. And you would need to be able to control this, though that shouldn't be a problem from what I'm going to explain later. The other thing that I think would be kind of an issue is this ability here, Natural Order, where standing next to a character in this range that you see here reduces, as you can see, a bunch of their base armor and base resistance, which quite strong to say the least. The spirit also does that, but it's split between his regular form and spirit form, where the spirit will reduce magic and his base form will reduce armor. So when they're together, it reduces both. So that would be the main problematic thing. His ultimate, which is just set up for his Q, mainly is set up for his team, and his ultimate, which does a shit ton of damage. Yeah, and it has a very long delay, as you can see here. It does percent of health damage in both half magic, half physical, so it's going to be hard to enemies against. So the thing with the spirit that might be problematic, that you might see is problematic, is like you can control it. I think in this case, we would have to put the stipulation where you can't move the spirit. It would just need to like appear. And then if you press it again or you let the time go, it just flies back to you, and whatever it hits on the way back will give you the buffs. Or maybe it doesn't even to give you buffs. But I really like Elder Titan in this case. I think he would either be... You could flex him as a support or as a top laner. You could hold his own in the top lane. There would be very hard matchups for him to deal with. Very mobile characters probably won't give a shit about him because he could just dodge in the way of his Echo Stomp, but I think that would be good. Yeah, the only thing is you would probably need to really tone down Natural Order to not remove that much armor and magic resistance. So as long as that happens, I think this character can be in League comfortably. Next we have Ember Spirit. Ember Spirit. How do we want to... So the way I see Ember Spirit is like he is a very... He'll play a lot like Zed, where the way Zed works is he plays around shadows. Ember does a very similar thing, but the spirits are very much... He will always come back to his last remnant place, so that can be a way to keep track of him. He basically has EQ that's safer, and chains, which is a random route for two enemies. So one of the things that he can do that's cool is he can cast change while he's slide fisting. So it's just random what happens. It'll be quite annoying, honestly. The only thing that I think would be an issue for Ember is that the way he would play is just really annoying, where he could just throw out a spirit in base and then at any point just press the button to go straight back to it. And that would be really annoying, and probably a lot of teams would have a hard time dealing with unless you know where the remnant is, which is hard to keep track of. So basically with that play pattern,
It'd probably be unhealthy for the game, and like changing it way too much would kind of remove Ember Spirit identity. And yeah, just probably just not put him in the game. Next we have Enchantress. So she has an ability called Enchant, which means she picks up creeps, which is not super important for her, but I think I think that alone just makes it so that you can't play against her. Also, like the one of her abilities, Untouchable, is just unbelievably just like stupid to play against. Enchantress, so that it's a massive attack speed slow whenever to anyone who tries to attack her. So if you're an auto attacker trying to just kill her, sorry, you need to play spellcaster. If you don't have like a good AP threat that doesn't rely on auto attack, yeah, Enchantress just kind of is just really just untouchable. You can't hit her, and really no one wants to deal with that. So Enchantress should just go into can tier. On the next we have Enigma. Enigma. What do I feel about Enigma? Really, the thing about Enigma that I feel might be maybe an issue is that Enigma is one of those characters who is a one button wonder where like it's literally just black hole where you pick Enigma to get this big massive AoE channeled stun that basically wins team fights, but in League of Legends it'll be really hard for him to do that since no Blink Dagger, BKB, it's a channeled, so it's easily uncounterable. It's very easily counterable, and there's a flash. You would need to burn flash every time for it to work. But if you land it, it does win you team fights, but I don't know how good it would be for a character who just is defined by like their one button. Because I know a lot of people don't really like characters who just are picked for their ultimate, just to do one thing. Because then it'd be really annoying just to like just get flash 5-man black holed by an Enigma and you just lose. Like it'd kind of be like Fiddlesticks, and people really don't like playing against Fiddlesticks. It'll be Fiddlesticks to a big, much higher degree. I think it might be a little too redundant, honestly. I'll put him in unhealthy because I don't think Enigma would be good. Would be really that fun to play against or really have any fun in the game. Next we have Faceless Void. Now the thing with Faceless Void is he has really one problematic ability, and that being Chronosphere, where it's a big AoE. It's a big field of stun that no one can do anything, including your teammates, so there is grief potential with this ability. That might actually work for its favor in this situation, where if you have a full team of melee characters, you don't want to pick Faceless Void or you just grief the game and lose. Aside from that, he has a mini Echo ultimate where he just dash and it comes back, backtracks damage after 2 seconds, and then a bash, which really isn't in League of Legends. It's completely random, which probably wouldn't be a good idea. You would probably need to make it either guaranteed in some way or just remove it altogether, where it's just randomly he gets another auto attack. How do I feel about Faceless Void being in League of Legends? In certain comps, this character would probably just win you the game, either as like a melee carry, as the top laner, even jungle. You just blink in Chrono somebody, and then you and maybe your mid laner just kill somebody. That might be a bit too toxic. I'll make that unhealthy because I don't think it'll be good. Now I'm thinking about it. Just jump in, Void, and then like there's nothing nothing that no one can do. It's up to the Void to fuck up horribly or his teammates to fuck up horribly, which really isn't not good gameplay. Grimstroke. Honestly, Grimstroke. The thing about Grimstroke that I think would be pretty cool is he has a really unique silence where it's something that you can kill if it attaches on you. I don't think there's a really ability like that in League where it just latches onto you and you have to kill it. His line nuke is kind of unique where it when you pass through things, it's like reverse as real ultimate, where the more things it passes, the more damage it deals. His stun kind of similar to Dark Will stun, where it is delayed, but it builds up the more times it ticks against characters. So it is a pretty decent initiation tool with certain characters, especially a top laner or a tank. His main thing that I think would be really cool to see is his ultimate, where basically it copies abilities on two characters that it's casting against and it leeches them together. I would think that in some cases this would be really useful. In other like times it's just not, because I'm imagining like who would this be good with? Like I'm trying to think who is like a point and click ability that would be make it useful, because that's how it procs off with point and click abilities. Like double Annie Q would be kind of fun to see. Double Syndra would be kind of insane. You just copy the Syndra ultimate to the other guy, or it could so that they split the damage between the two of them. I think that'd be too strong, but I think Grimstroke would be a pretty cool addition to League of Legends. So I will put him in the good addition. He has a pretty unique support. Pretty easy counterplay, because if you guys just walk together away, then like there's nothing really he could do. Gyrocopter. So similar to League, he looks like Corki, and he kind of fills the same thing as Corki, where he's just the damage guy. He has a longer version of Kaisa Q, which means it just lasts longer. He has a very like delayed stun, which can be destroyed, which would be probably fine. His main call is Flat Cannon, where he just presses a button and it attacks everything within a certain range of himself, and it copies his damage 1-to-1. So I think in late game team fights, that shit would be kind of nasty, especially if Runance could be snacked on top of that. He would just basically just roll up, shoot off like about 9 autos, and hopefully the team fight ends and you guys win. His ultimate, and it kind of fucking sucks. No one cares. But do we would need does League need another character? Because the thing with Gyrocopter is that he needs to flash farm really fast. He's really good at that due to Flat Cannon, but he just seems really uninteractive. Like if he gets enough money and like he trolls up into a team fight, you all need to focus him down, or you just die to him like all together at once with his Flat Cannon. He's a big team fight shit. I don't really like that idea. As much as I do enjoy playing him, he's just like he's super binary. I don't think it'd be very fun to play against. Next is Huskar. Oh Jesus, fucking Huskar. So Huskar is one of the more gimmicky characters where, his main thing is that when he gets low, he just gets shit ton of healing, like natural regen and magic resist, and this out of the world's attack speed, which is good because he has a stacking debuff that stacks infinitely as long as he keeps on attacking. Yeah, I don't think Huskar. This might be one of the characters who he's like a draft counter pick, where if you just don't have the correct characters, he just auto takes over the game. And if he doesn't, the character is just fucking dead in the water. And that type of particular play pattern is just really, really shitty. I don't think this character. I'm really tempted to put him in Cant because of how like one of the more polarizing characters. I'll put him at the very bottom of very unhealthy. It's just that he can be in the game, and that there is like general counterplay, and like there are ways to, I guess, anticipate him. It's just when he's like extremely good in the draft, it's just unplayable.
Next Invoker. So we're just gonna put this on can't. For one thing, the cross Wex control scheme. I don't think it just can be done in League. Yeah, look how many fucking spells he has. And also, this is a QWE, and his R is just creating a new spell. It's just I think untenable in League of Legends. Also, this character already exists in League as Hui. If Hui and Invoker were in the same game, then I just don't think it would really. They'd just be redundant. So we're just gonna cut it there. Invoker, we can't just. Yeah, sorry, bud. You're in Dota 2. Io. Fucking Io. So this is basically what Yumi was kind of based off of, where he's not really a character. He's just an extension of another character, but he can still die. I don't really think we want another Yumi, and also he can do more than Yumi. We'll just put him unhealthy for the game. He's not too redundant. He's not too redundant to Yumi because he can do like unique things like teleport you and your partner to a new part of the map, only for a certain amount of time, and then you immediately come back. But aside from that, I don't think we want him. Jakiro. Character I play a lot. What do I feel about Jakiro? He's a very straightforward, simple character. Very much line dot based. The main thing you would probably pick from him is his overtime line nuke. It does okay damage. It just lasts a long time, which can be good for clearing out waves. Ice Path is a cool line stun. Think of like Braum Ultimate, but it takes a while for him to like actually cast it and come out. Like it's a big delay. Like here, I'll just show you. It's a long delay, and it's easy to dodge. But if they touch it, then they get stunned. So here we go. And here I press the button. Now. Yeah, it took a long time for it to come out. They could probably speed up in League, but they probably won't if we come in. And Dual Breath is a slow dot thing. I don't know. I don't think he can be in League. It's just he probably wouldn't be doing much. He'd probably be a lane bully really, and like throughout the occasional line stun here and there. But aside from that, not much. Juggernaut. So the thing about Juggernaut is he's a hard guy to determine whether or not League of Legends has a place for him. So the main thing that Juggernaut's thing is that he just has a natural crit for one. So already he's like he can hit pretty hard already. Very much intended for the carry role. He has Garen spin, but it's better in pretty much every way. Where, although it can't crit, he's just spell immune, and you can't cancel them. So that might be a little too similar to Garen, and it would be really hard to play with if you can just spin and get away. Healing Ward is a unique healing option. It's kind of like melee OW, but you can destroy it. So there is counterplay to that. And he has Old Fuhrer Ultimate, which I don't remember if people disliked or not, but yeah, it lasts for a very, very long time. And it scales with attack speed. And he's invincible the entire time. Like, nothing in his kit makes him impossible to deal with. And he's not redundant enough to make it so that I don't think he'd be a good addition. I think in combination with everything, though, he'd just be Imba. Like, this character would just be kind of really hard to lock down and kill. If he like gets went on by two guys, he can easily turn around by pressing R and hope for the best that he doesn't randomly bounce to creeps or whatever. And like he crits on his jumps. And if he at late game, he'd just be like impossible to kill. I think he'd just be Imba if he hits that point, and really hard to deal with. Next we have Kotal, Keeper of the Light. Kotal, give me mana.
So, the thing with Coddle, he is supposed to be supportive, but he supports in a very, honestly, like, very strange way where his job is to clear waves and be somewhat disruptive in team fights with his knockback, which also blinds. They probably can't add the blind to the game. It's not healthy. And also he has this channeled blast that does a lot of damage, but he has to stand there for like 2 seconds, no, 3 seconds, for to really deal like significant damage. But the main thing to get him is for Chakra Magic, which gives your whoever you want mana, which not probably a good idea to have in League. So just for that simple fact, no, you can't do that. Because like imagine you just cast it on your fucking Kog'Maw or Ezreal. Like you just spam spells for free and then you just cast Chakra Magic on them the entire time. It's like, okay, well, this is just unfun. Or like he just runs across the map to roam, do some bullshit, and then he runs past your Syndra. He casts Chakra Magic. All right, she's got like a few more casts before she needs to go home. Annoying as shit. Next, Kunkka. I've thought about Kunkka. I think what I've thought about Kunkka is like I think he might be one of the best characters from Dota to translate over to League, and I will show you what I mean. He has a very, I think the thing about Kunkka is like he's a very fair character where everything that he does is pretty telegraphed. Nothing he does is extremely overpowered. The only thing that might be somewhat of an issue is X Mark is like a very unique ability where how it works is you just cast it on someone and X marks the spot. Basically, the next time the timer runs out or you recast it, they come back to it. That might be a little too strong, but I can see in some places where it won't really do anything if they're just standing there and fighting. The thing is, like, he can also cast it on himself or teammates, which can be a good supportive tool. In case, like, they get Blitzcrank hooked, like, preemptively, you would just need to know that would happen, and you bring him back. He has a natural cleave, and it's very large, and it does scale with, like, crit and everything, which it doesn't have to in League. It's just very large. It can be good to clear waves with. Makes him be able to maybe mid, which might be an issue. His Q is kind of like a worse version of Cho'Gath W because it takes that long to fucking come up, and it's really telegraphed. And his ultimate, I think, would also be a really cool addition because you just cast it. Yeah, here it comes. It's just a big stun. Honestly, I kind of think Kunkka would be a really cool character for League. So, that being said, we're just going to put him in good addition. I think he would be probably one of the best additions from Dota to League. Next, we have Legion Commander. Now, the thing with Legion is that she is kind of one note in what she wants to do, but that one thing is like is actually kind of interesting to deal with. Where is she? Legion Commander. So the reason you would pick Legion is to duel people. It's kind of like a Rammus taunt, but you can't actually run away. You have to stand and fight. It's pretty good lockdown for whoever you want to like actually kill, and it gives her damage afterwards. But on the flip side, if she fails, then like you give the enemy damage, which can be annoying to deal with. So there is risk in when she does it. She would have problems running in without Blink Dagger, but I think if she flash or ghosts, or even like TPs behind the enemy carry, she just runs up behind them. Has to make sure that her teammates are on the same page so that she doesn't randomly give the Jinx like extra damage when she loses. I think Legion is actually a pretty good addition. Just comes in, duels pretty interestingly. Like there's an annoying ass Yumi. She hops out. She just duels the Yumi and she just dies. Yeah, I think Legion would be pretty decent. Next we have Leshrac. With Leshrac, he is the AoE man, which there might be a place for how he
does damage in League of Legends, because a lot of it is just a toggle. This is just a toggle AoE spell that does pulsating damage every time, every couple of seconds, which might be annoying to deal with because there's no real counterplay. You just need to focus down the left track, where he's just running around, walking at people. Same with Diabolic Edict, where it's similar to how it's similar to how I guess you would think of it Kaiser Q, where it would spread its damage equally around the amount of units are around him. But it also attacks towers, which I already said that I don't really like that idea, so we're gonna have to probably cut that from his kit. And his stun is like pretty telegraphed. It's like a rupture. Like, yeah, wow, look how long it took for that thing to pop out after he lifts his legs. I don't know. It would yeah, it would need to be based on how much damage his 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 ultimate and his diabolic would take. He also just has a slow, which is good for him to just walk up people and kill. I don't know. Like, it'd be really hard to run away from him. Like, I can just imagine it's like a Hecarim with a big W up and hard to run away from. So in that case, I'll probably put him in unhealthy. Lich. So the thing with Lich is the reason you would ever pick Lich is for his Frost Shield. Now it's just a buff that you can't really remove from it. You can't really remove where they just take like 60% less damage. It's not really much counterplay to that unless you have a way to remove buffs, which I don't think is in the game. And he has Brand Ultimate that lasts a little longer. That's it, really. I just don't think he can be in the game with that. Next, we have Life Stealer, aka Nikes. With Nikes, the really only problematic ability is his Rage, which is just Olaf Ultimate. He just has Olaf Ultimate on a basic ability, which is pretty tough to deal with. Aside from that, this character really, he's like a stat checker. Actually, that doesn't sound very good. Where he just has innate Life Stealer, as by his name, he's just Life Steal. He just walks up and hits you to death, and if you can't beat him or CC him in the time, it's like hard to deal with. But you can't CC him that often because he has Olaf Ultimate on a Q. Yeah. Unfortunately, you just can't. It's just unhealthy. You can't beat it here. Next up, we have Lena, which the best way I can describe her is this is Fire Zerath, who can turn into an auto attacker late game based on how she casts her spells. If they land, then they just get a lot of attack speed. Her ultimate is a point and click nuke. League doesn't really like those, as can seen by Syndra, where that's conditional to deal that much damage. Honestly, I just don't think Lena really add anything new to the game. I don't think it would be cool if this artillery mage suddenly can just get an IE and start throwing like 200 auto crits at like 2.5 attack speed. Just doesn't seem very strong, and if it is, it's just gonna get nerfed. So we're just gonna put low impact. There's probably no reason to ever play her. And then next we have Lone Druid, who straight away just can't, because the way this character works is this ability, Summon Bear, where he just creates a new hero, where this bear can do basically hero things, attack towers with increased damage, buy its own items, shares gold with Lone Druid, and just can run around the map wherever it wants. It's its own unit, and League can't really have that. It's just impossible. And even if it was possible, he would just be so annoying to deal with, because the bear is tanky as fuck, has basically imagine trying to kill a unit that has a Sterax IE and just runs around at like 3,000 HP at level 1. It's like not fun. So, Lone Druid, just get it in there in the can't tier. Next we have Luna. Luna. Honestly, Luna has a really weird place in Dota right now. She doesn't really do much well. She can like farm okay. Her thing, she has Glaze, which is just permanent Sivir W, which sounds good, but doesn't really do that much damage. The penalty is like it only does 35% of her auto attacks, and her Q is like a point and click mini stun. It does okay damage. Her ultimate just summons a bunch of them. It's fine, but nothing super threatening. She's just like an auto attacker. I just don't think she would really do anything if she were added. She can be added, but no one would really care. Next, we have Lycan. What to do with Lycan? The thing about Lycan is that he has an ability called Summon Wolves, which would be really annoying to deal with, because you can micro them, but I don't think it's super necessary to micro them, so they can kind of work like Neferi, where they can be targeted to jump on people, but he's a melee character. I think really what might be holding back Lycan from even being in the game is Shapeshift. He just has Lee Sin ultimate, but he gets a crit on top of it. So yeah, so like he could just be pushing a wave, summon his wolves, presses R, turns his form into a big wolf, and just runs down whoever wants to fight him. It's gonna be annoying. No one's gonna want to play for it. We're just gonna put him in unhealthy. Oh god, here's Magnus, one of the big playmakers of Dota 2. Honestly, with Magnus, I think he'd be pretty good to put into League of Legends, because just how like the character, his kit just functions so well together and is not overly oppressive. So really, I don't think he has really any problematic abilities except for maybe Empower, which is just a straight damage buff and gives whoever he casts on Cleave, which can really supplement farming and gives big advantage in team fights, and it's kind of hard to remove. But aside from Empower, which will need to be toned down, which can be easily done, it's just a line nuke that kind of pulls people in and slows. Nothing too crazy. He does have a mobility option, Skewer, but it's kind of slow and needs startup time. And his ultimate is just melee range Orianna ultimate. So yeah, I'll just to show what that visualize. Yeah, and then the cool thing is he can like push him aside. I think really nothing in here is like super egregious. The only thing is like Empower, which will just need to be toned down, but that can be easily done. So yeah, Magnus, you look okay. So, but I'm a good addition. I don't think he'd be any powerful. He doesn't even need Blink to function. Like Skewer by itself, he could just charge in. He would just need to take a certain angle. You'll probably not make him be able to run through trees, run through walls. That'll probably be a bit too strong. But aside from that, I think he has a pretty great place. Next we have Mars. Honestly, the thing about Mars is I think this is a pretty good character to have in League. Yeah, because he's very disruptive. He has a pretty unique CC, even though it is just kind of condemn. But on this type of character, it works for his kit because he can summon his own his own walls, kind of like Jarvan. But I think they'd be a better, I guess, a more useful tool than his, and also it's like he can missing it, just not do anything. His teammates would have a hard time even helping. Um, Honestly, Mars could just be in Dota 2 without really much issue. Yeah, we'll put him in good addition. I think good addition is pretty good. So far there have been no agi characters to be in good addition. I guess they're just a little hard to like really make work. We'll see though. Next is Medusa. Oh my fucking god. Oh, she is really close to camp tier. I think she is in camp tier. Not because there's really anything that can like. Well, I'm not sure if League is able to do it. Make it so that how she works can be done in Dota 2. Because the main thing is mana shield. So as you can read here, it's just her health bar is her mana pool, but like it blocks like pretty much all of that damage. Like the damage she would take will be reduced by like 98% and then converted into mana. Uh, it'd be really really hard for League characters to output. I guess they can output that amount of damage, but the amount of mana she can get would be absurd, and it would take forever to kill her. And she's a carry on top of that, so a super tanky ranged carry with a Cassia ultimate. Granted, it's much worse because you have to stare at her for like 2 seconds. But she would just be super unfun to play against, and I don't know how Mana Shield would work in League, if it can work in League, so I just don't think it would be a good idea at all just to have her. Next, Meepo. If you know anything about Dota 2, Meepo just cannot be in the game because of just how he works. Yeah. Meepo's whole identity is that he creates multiple versions of himself that can be controlled individually. Already from the jump, no, we can't do that. And if you're to ever change this, you just remove the identity of Meepo. So, no, sorry, Meepo, but you should have saw this coming. Next is Marana, Patum, Princess of the Moon. How do I feel about Marana? I think Marana maybe. The only thing that would like she would really the really utility that she would bring to the game is that she's like a mobile, somewhat attacker character that can give everyone invisibility, like fading invisibility for some time during a team fight, which honestly is pretty annoying. Is like pretty bad. It's pretty bad to deal with, especially since League of Legends doesn't really have a good way to deal with League invis, reveal invis other than a control ward, and I don't know if we want to make this camouflage, otherwise it'd be fucking useless. She has Zarath W, which also is, I guess, something, but I just don't think she should be in the game. Like, Moonlight Shadow by itself is like unbelievably annoying and toxic to play against. Next, Monkey King, Wukong. Dota 2's Dota 2's Wukong. With Wukong, the only thing is that we would need to replace Tree Dance with something. And because there's no trees, I don't know what it would be. And also, like, honestly, like, Wukong in League kind of does the fantasy of, Sun Wukong better than this game. He has like the clone army and everything, but he has the stretchy Jingu Bang. It's pretty large and it can stun a bunch of people. And Jingu Mastery is just like a really annoying ability to deal with. 4 attacks and he just gets mass lifesteal and attack damage for 4 autos. It's just really annoying. If it was a solo laner, he would just win every lane because no one would ever be able to beat him. So other than that, he doesn't really fill really any other niche. I want to kind of put him into camp because Tree Dance is like kind of important to his character because there are no trees, so he can't jump into anywhere. I think we'll just have to put him in can't in that technicality because I don't know what else you would replace that with. Morphling, I think it just can't. The swapping stats is an interesting thing to do, but League of Legends has stats in a way where it can't really happen, and that's like his character, because the way Dota has stats distributed, strength is your health, agility is your attack speed, and int is your magic resist. He switches between intelligence and strength, so he's either tanky as fuck or hits hard as fuck, and he can switch between them as he plays the game. League of Legends doesn't really have stats distribution like that, and yeah, that is just morphling. So if you can't do that, then what's the point? Mm-hmm. So next, Naga Siren, another agility character who just can't be in the game. She's an illusion based character. That's where most of her damage is. If there's no Naga illusions, then she just can't. She just can't function. Also, her ultimate. It's not that it's impossible to deal with. It's just that it'll just be way too imbalanced. She's just a moving Bard ultimate, and there's no way to really block it. So we just can't have it. Nature's Prophet. So Nature's Prophet. Furion. Maybe Imba. So the reason I would say Imba is mainly of this ability, teleportation. So he has TF Ultimate, but it's on a basic ability. This opens up way too many opportunities for him to do shenanigans throughout the entire game. Basically unable to like keep track of him, just do whatever he wants once he gets this ability. His other spells kind of also really don't matter because he has teleportation. This is another cage type ability. And summon Nature's Call. Since there's no trees, he would only be able to create this after he casts this ability, which summons trees. And really targeting them probably won't be that big of a deal. He just needs to auto and they'll just sick on him. Yeah. But teleportation kind of just puts his character over the top. Yeah. So into Imba you go, Treant Protector. There we go. Necrophos. He'd be a very like anti-tank type character because the way he functions is that he's very like he both wants to kill someone as fast as possible but if he doesn't, then that's fine. He's just really weak to magic damage because they just outburst him in his healing. Reaper Scythe is just a better Garen ultimate where he can steal the kill, which can be very grief. Heartstopper is just an aura that just is health removal based on the percentage, which is pretty good against tanks and bruisers, especially those who can't fight him. He would be a counter pick, I think, if he were to be in League of Legends. Put him in either mainly a top laner, honestly. He would just walk around and like brush off like Jax and Aurelia. They just wouldn't be able to touch him. He'd go ethereal, which means that he can't be attacked or harmed by physical attacks, only magic damage, although that is amplified against him. The thing is, like, he would just be a counter pick. And some teams probably won't be able to handle him that well if they are just all full AD. He just presses W and then he just walks through them, casting his spells. They just can't kill him. And picks one guy to kill, and then he gets mass regen off of that. He kind of reminds me of Vladimir that much in that option. I'll put him in low impact because he'd be mainly relegated to a counter pick, and counter picks don't really. They do come up sometimes, but it'll be like in that specific niche. If not, then you probably shouldn't play him. Night Stalker, just can't this character probably just. He revolves around a day-night cycle that just does not exist in League of Legends, and if there is no nighttime, then Night Stalker ceases to be a character. Moving on. Nyx Assassin. The thing with this Nyx Assassin is how he exists in Dota 2 is he would just be Evelynn if he were to be removed from Dota 2 into League of Legends, and people already hate playing against Evelynn, so putting in another Evelynn would be bad. Although, the one thing that I would recommend if he were to come into League is they would give him, replace his ultimate that makes him invisible and gives him a burst of damage when he comes out. Change that into his Aghanims, where this ability where he goes into the ground and his spells have a larger cast radius. You can't see it, but yeah, these are much, and he has like some regen. So he'd be like a turret ballista. This is mainly a way for him to transition to late game where invis ganks stop being as potent. But if he were to just replace his R into what I just suggested, then he just ceases to be an assassin, which isn't his namesake. So either way, he just can't really, like... I think he'd just be unhealthy. Like, unfortunately, Nyx, I love you, but we already got, like, an invis burst character assassin. Next we have Ogre Magi. Because the only thing I'm wondering is the reason you would get Ogre is to be a kind of fat support character with a Gamba ability. Yeah, it's just recasting his abilities on enemies or allies. Which I don't know if League of Legends can do this. I'm going to err on the side of caution saying it can't do this. So I'm going to put him into can't, which I think is fine. Either way, because getting point and click fire blasted, it could be changed to, even if it was changed to like a skill shot of some sorts. That's like fire blast lasts for a second. So if you're casted like fire blast 4 times in a row, you would just die with no recourse to fight back, and that would be really shitty. It just 100% Gamba. Yeah, no one would want that. And then we have Omni Knight. How do we feel about Omni Knight? I don't even know how to feel about Omni Knight in Dota 2. He's just like some weird like offlane core who sometimes heals and does sometimes supportive things. His goal in lane is to like run over the enemy carry and try and cuck him from like getting farm. Which means he wouldn't be good as a position 5 unless like his entire MO is to bully the enemy Twitch or Ezreal with his Empower Auto. He does have a heal that like does damage after it's done, and it is pure, but like it's fine. It'd be cool. It'd be decent wave clear. The thing that would be really strong with Omni Knight is his... Where is it? His W and his ultimate, where it would be Repel. Repel, which gives basically tenacity and a debuff, and a dispel. Excuse me. And Guardian Angel, which makes it so that immune to physical damage, which is super polarizing. Aside from that, I just don't really think he would add much to the game. What he does add is really fucking annoying and polarizing, so we're gonna put him unhealthy. Next, Oracle. What do I feel about Oracle? I think, honestly, he might be, he might be a good addition. Yeah, I think he might be a good addition, but we will need to do Actually, now that I'm trying to think about it. Oracle. So the real thing to get Oracle for is just for his ultimate. Really interesting, unique ability where you cast it on your cast it on somebody and they don't lose or gain any damage, but while it's on them, they still take like the damage afterwards, but all health is doubled. So that allows for some unique plays where it's if he's the only healer on the team, then it's up to him to heal the carry or whoever he casts it on until they can live the false promise. But if there is a bunch of healing, then it's pretty hard to kill anybody. Also, there's opportunity costs involved where he needs to if he casts it on himself, then it's useful. It's like not in the game anymore. It also depends on how strong whoever you're casting it is on if they're doing it offensively. So if you're like losing, this probably doesn't do a whole lot. The only thing that I think would be interesting is Fate's Edict. It's a point and click disarm, which there's not really much counterplay. You would probably need to change it like how his Fortune's End, where he needs to channel it, and it would shoot out. And then based on how long it would channel, it would change the duration, which I think could work. He does have a healing ability, but it's not like an outright healing ability where it does damage up front, but then it heals you afterwards for like a little bit. So there is grief potential if your Oracle sucks dick, like casts on you at the wrong time, and you just die because you just took a shit ton of damage out of nowhere. I think all of that considered, he would be pretty good in League of Legends. He would support in a unique way where, he would support in a unique way where it's very preemptive. You have to probably kind of think about what you want to do. And he doesn't heal in a very traditional sense. Next one is Outward Devourer, not Destroyer, not my OD. Jesus. I don't think he's close to can't, but I think we just need to do unhealthy because the way he works is he does pure damage auto attacks based on his mana, which doesn't sound too bad. And as you can see, it's a percentage base, but he has this ability where it restores mana every time he spends it. So he basically has infinite mana. And it's pure damage. You can change it to magic, but I still don't think that changes anything. Also, he has Astral Imprisonment. This is probably the least egregious ability. You just take him out of the fight for however long. There's also grief potential. You can use it on your teammates. If you do it improperly, then you kind of fuck your teammates die. So there is that, but just these two combinations is just Essence Flux and Arcane Orb. You just can't. It's just wouldn't be fun to play against. You just get railed on by like a magic damage auto attacker. No, sorry. Pangolier. I think the character just kind of sucks. I think he just kind of sucks. He just probably wouldn't do anything. So I'll put him in low impact because, I mean, if you buff his numbers, he can do anything. He does have cool things about him. Like, this is a vector targeted like 3 auto thing, although it's fixed. So this is a pretty cool mobility attacking ability. He has a cool like AoE jump where after he lands, based on how many things he hits, it gives him a temporary shield. Pretty cool. And Lucky Shot, it's just attack speed reduction and armor reduction based on a percentage, which can make trading with him kind of scary, but not really. It's like not very high chance of it even happening. His most claim to fame is his ultimate, which looks like Rammus, but it controls like Scion Q. It goes through people, but he can also jump over terrain with it. So there is something there. I don't think this is enough. Like, his numbers are really low. He doesn't do much outside of his ultimate, honestly, and yeah,
I don't know. Like, I guess this might be me biased because I used to really love this character, but then they like changed him to this fucking weird guy who like kind of hits people softly and then stuns them occasionally. So I'm gonna need to put him in low impact. I just don't see really like him doing anything else besides like rolling into a ball and stunning people, and you would need to control it properly for it to get value. PA unhealthy. So really simply how to describe this character. So the way we describe PA is imagine if Talon still has blink, and instead of doing a shit ton of damage through his spells, he just crits you twice odd and it hits you twice and you crit on the last auto attack and you just immediately die. Like look at the critical damage number. 50%. Like 500%. Like what the fuck? Yeah, so no. It's just she either one shots you or doesn't. Yeah, moving on. Phantom Lancer can't. Illusion based character. Unlike a lot of unlike some of the illusion based characters which we can maybe finagle to work. No, he kind of needs to control his illusions a little bit. Also, kind of would be really difficult to deal with as be hard to tell who he is. He just creates a ton of them. Yeah, it's just they probably can't keep up with it. Then we have Phoenix. Honestly, Phoenix might be a good addition. So the thing with Phoenix is that this is also a kind of supporty character where the way they're supporting is through their ultimate, but their ultimate's like pretty interesting to deal with where it does have its own health bar. It's instead of like actual HP, it's number of attacks, kind of like a ward. It's a big ward that does in like consistent high damage, and if you don't kill it in time, it explodes and like stuns a bunch of people. I think it's a pretty interesting way to go about with a high value ultimate where it can be dealt with. You just need cooperation from all your teammates, or if you all collectively can realize you don't have the time or attack speed to kill it, you all need to disengage. I think it's a really interesting way to go about team fight ultimates. The rest of its abilities are fine. The most impactful one would probably be Icarus Dive because the way that it works, you just pick a direction and it does like an oval shape where it'll come back to you like a boomerang, and you could stop at any point. So I think that's a pretty cool, unique tool. The Fire Spirits are kind of like a slow projectile to slow attack speed, and Sunray is how would I describe it? A channeled Senna Q, where it both heals and does damage over a period of time. So I think Phoenix would have a pretty unique playstyle. It could maybe be played mid or as a position 5 or support, excuse me, as a support, or even maybe a neutralizing top lane in very specific situations. But I think 5, if you could probably play into most characters, but against certain team comps, it would be like a turbo win. So I think Phoenix, good character. Next we have Puck. Puck, how do we feel? I just need to look at a couple things about Puck real thing because I honestly believe Puck might have a good chance to be in League of Legends, be one of like the coolest guys around. So the way to think about Puck is like think of an alternate version of Zoe where this is his ball and you can cast it again. Well, you need to cast it again in this case because it's a different button. In this case, you can cast the ball and then press another button to warp to it. But the thing is, none of his abilities get into the way of actually doing that type of thing. So he has this ability called Face Shift. He just disappears from the map. It's annoying as hell. It doesn't really do anything like that. So you would dodge and like stall for time. But the way Pucks would do it, you would E and immediately come out from the other side of the orb. And this is just kind of like a blink AoE attack that does some damage. It also silences in this game, but it probably won't silence in League. And his ultimate is Dream Coil. How would I describe this the best way? Imagine if you could just cast it on the ground. Whoever gets hit by it gets leashed, and if you run out of a certain area, then it does more damage and stuns. So it would be a very interesting tool to keep people in place while not stunning them. I think Puck has a lot of skill expression. He doesn't do the most amount of damage, but he's very evasive and can really just come into fights, be annoying, be annoying, drag people around and be a nuisance. Yeah, Puck is a mid laner, so I think he would fit pretty well in mid laner. He doesn't do a very high amount of damage, which would be a good thing. He's very much one of those nuisance mids. So I think Puck would be actually a quite good addition. So we are going to put Puck into. Did I put him in good addition? No. You are going to put in good addition. Next we have Pudge. Pudge is a hook character, very similar to Blitzcrank. In fact, he's so similar to Blitzcrank that we're going to put him in Unhealthy. Yeah, I'm being serious. Like, he's very much like Blitzcrank. He hooks. It hits enemies and allies, which could be a cool, even grief way to play him, which I don't think that would really even be much of a... I mean, it would be a change, but it's too similar to Blitzcrank anyway that you wouldn't want it. Yeah, he's basically the hook button. If he doesn't land the hook, he's useless. Kind of like Blitzcrank. Yeah. Next, we have Pugna. Pugna. The main thing about Pugna is that his claim to fame is like he has a basic ability that damages towers, and I don't know if we like that. Like, he has other abilities, like he has the Decrepify ability where if we here, you just cast it on either yourself, ally, or enemy, and they can't take physical damage, but they're amplified by magic damage by a fuck ton, which allows for griefing potential, and could allow for characters to be absolutely safe from any situation depending on certain comps. But mainly the thing that I think is really toxic, also Nether Ward. It deals damage if you cast mana. If you cast spells with mana. It's annoying as shit. Not really much you can do unless you find the ward. No one wants to deal with that. Ultimate is just Fiddlesticks. He has Fiddlesticks. Single target Fiddlesticks. Who cares? The problematic thing is Nether Blast. This is the ability where if you cast it, then it just can damage towers. Do we want a tower pushing magic damage dealer like this? Like, it could like realistically, he could like maybe stand out. I mean, the only way this would be like viable is if he could stand out of tower range and cast the ability for free, which could make sieging okay, but I don't want it so that Pugna is just the guy to pick if you just want to end games fast. I mean, there is early games comps, but like, I don't think he does it in a very interesting way. I will put him in Unhealthy, honestly, because if you protect the Pugna well enough, he's just gonna inevitably take every single building, and there's nothing you can do about it, which probably doesn't feel very good. Okay, next, Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain. I think Queen... The thing about Queen of Pain is that she's a very mobile character who can make a lot impact in the map based on her blink ability. And having like a free, like, massive flash on a character, kind of problematic already. Kind of problematic. It's on a pretty low cooldown too. Yeah, it's just not something that I think we need more of in League. Like, I can imagine her just coming into like a random lane, absolutely like coming in. The Zed is about to kill the enemy Malzahar. No, the enemy Zed is about to kill your Malzahar, and then you just come in, press exhaust the the Zed. Oh, there was nothing I could do about that. Out of nowhere, here comes the person just to mess my fucking day up, and I lost the kill because of it. And then she just immediately leaves after. The rest of the abilities are just like kind of generic spells. This is a slow dot. Okay, her ultimate is like a big nuke that's pure damage, true damage, which could be worth something, and it pushes people back. So it has a very niche CC. Mm, Even though I think she might be annoying, she's like she's more closer to being an okay addition to League of Legends than a lot of other characters I talk about. But even then, I feel like Queen will. I'm trying to think like how much how annoying would Blink be? I think maybe because the issue is Blink because it's just really annoying. I'll put her in because there's not a lot of ways to stop her unless you just CC the fuck out of her, and some characters just don't have that, and then she could just easily get away. I'll put on healthy because her ultimate can also be used to clear waves really easily, and she could just stall and be really mobile, so she could just like hop around, but behind enemy lines and just ult waves. Um, Razor. How do we feel about Razor? I think he's like the anti carry. Um, which the only way to stop him from being an anti carry is if you run away from if you're fast enough away from when you CC him from stopping for you to steal damage, because that's why you would pick Razor, just to steal damage. He has other abilities. Eye of the Storm is like pretty interesting where it locks onto one target and then like it does it keeps on striking and reducing armor. And he has Plasma Field, which makes it as a AoE slow basically. That's what you use it for. I think the damage steal ability is interesting. It's just I think in some cases, in very one-off, in like the top lane, especially if you put him in the top lane, and uh, set doesn't fucking flash away, he just fucking loses. Mm, but like, how much do I care about that? Maybe a little bit. I want to put Razor because like he is fast, but like there's pretty clear counterplay. Like if he's in a 1v2, depending on who it is, he kind of just can't do anything. I feel like I'll put him in good addition because like spellcasters in particular would really fuck him up because he who cares, he steals their damage, who cares. Um, and if some characters can burst him down that fast while he's in the strength steal, in the damage steal, they probably won't care that much. Like I'm thinking like maybe if a particularly good Riven can just like burst him down really fast, or like a GP with like damage GP who does good barrel combos and like hits him a bunch with a true damage, he probably just loses outright. Hmm. And like fast characters just won't care. Uh, yeah, I think he can be a good addition. Next is Ricky. I'm just gonna put him on healthy. Similar to the next thing. He's perma invisible. He's just gonna blink in and kill somebody, kind of like Evelyn. Yeah, that's it. Rubik. I think he's Imba.
So the thing you would ever pick Rubik for is to steal spells, and how spell stealing works in this game is the last spell that is casted, Rubik will just steal for himself. That includes ultimates. So say what's a high value ultimate? Rumble just ults. Rubik sees the animation of Rumble shooting that off his back. If he sees him, he casts spell steal on Rumble. He steals it for himself, and he casts it back at the enemy team. It's kind of shitty. Like, oh fuck, I I I just gave my team a really the enemy team a strong ultimate. Yeah, it's not really a good idea for that. It's not really great. It would warp the draft in a way that like you would have to keep in mind like how useful are my spells if like Rubik were to steal them, because there are some spells that Rubik won't care, like won't want to steal, like Sever W. If he steals it, wow, he has splitting autos, amazing. Sever W is that the soul shield or is that the bouncing autos? Whatever that one is. Yeah, like he wouldn't really care to steal that one, so it does warp the draft in that way, but that in itself would probably be something to consider. And he can steal every ability, because there are some basic abilities that are they're fucking bullshit. Like Bard Magical Journey. Imagine if Rubik stole Magical Journey from Bard and he just gets everyone to get out of a tight corridor in the jungle. Awful. Mm. Sand King. The Sand King cometh. Where are we putting Sand King? So, the thing with Sand King is that he would just be a stun bot, honestly. And I don't know how healthy that would be if just like you just pick him for just like a consistent stun. It's also a mobility tool, so he would have to make a choice of whether he can go in and go out. It doesn't stun for that long, and this is like League of Legends stun timers. Sandstorm would like be an okay farming tool. It would be annoying, but like I think you could if you could camouflage. This would be probably the most consistent. This would be like the way that camouflage would probably be the most sense, because he's in the sand, and he's in the sand. He's invisible. You can't see him unless you're like right next to him. It just does damage really. While you're in it. Stinger's weird. Like Caustic Finale is just a weird ability. It just causes creeps to explode after a little bit. It won't kill him outright, but if it does, then it explodes again. Epicenter, yeah, he takes some time channeling it, but after it's done, he just creates a bunch of pulses around him. They do decent damage, and he can go in and just kind of cause havoc. Honestly, the more I'm like talking about Sand King, I think he'd be pretty decent. He'd be a good addition. Like he would like fill in a role where he could play a 5, maybe, probably not. Maybe jungle, where he just farms jungle until like he doesn't even need 6 to gank. He just farms jungle, goes in, stuns a person, and then you and Cassante try and beat the shit out of Kennen. Like, I think that could be that could be good. I think that could be a good thing to do. Also, his stun is dodgeable. It takes like a couple frames for him to like actually go through. So if you're fast with it, you can flash the stun or even sidestep it if you're like a baller. Next up we have Shadow Demon. For the illusion is not really that important, honestly, but I don't think. I think he'd be unhealthy, honestly, because the way way Shadow Demon supports, because he's also a support. The main problematic ability is Demonic Purge, where basically any buffs that a character has is just does not exist with them anymore. Meaning that not like different forms, like meaning like Lulu speed buff, Zillion speed buff, other buffs, Ardent Sensor, that they would just be removed, which probably we wouldn't be good. It doesn't work on shields, because those are technically buffs. If we are doing this, if we were reading this properly, shields are considered buffs, so that would mean shields would be removed. Probably not a good idea to have in the game, just for that fact alone. probably not a smart idea. There's other problematic abilities. Disruption removes people from fights for a short amount of time. High grief potential because you can also cast it on your teammates, and it spawns illusions, which isn't really that important, but it does add in a new effect that could be annoying to deal with. Yeah, but the main thing is demonic purge is way too unhealthy, and it's too like annoying to deal with. Shadow Fiend, a Shadow Friend. I think he'd be a good addition because like the way he deals damage is very interesting. Where these three abilities are the same thing. They're the exact same ability, just at different lengths. So this is a short, medium, and far. But how he deals damage is that each consecutive hit will compound upon itself. So each strike, say it does 100. If you hit him with the middle strike, it'll do 120, and then so on and so forth. So if you just keep on comboing Shadow Raises, then it'll do a lot of damage. But the range isn't that big, and since it's his only ability, you kind of always know what Shadow Fiend can do. And like unlike Lena, who does transition into an auto attacker, the way Shadow Fiend transition auto attacker is that he requires last hitting, and there is a cap to it. As you can see here, like it can do up to like 20 to 80 damage, which is a lot. We can translate that to League, where a soul, which is what you get after killing things, would get you some temporary damage. They go away after he dies too, so he needs to restack them. So there's that too. And his ultimate, well, it is kind of weird for him to have, but it's first based on the damage that he does with his souls. So if he has low souls, like no one gives a shit, and it does fear them if it hits them, but it's dependent on how close he is and like how many times he gets hit by the souls. So if he's not strong, then this won't do anything. But I think this, and it takes a long time for him to like actually cast it. But yeah, Shadow Fiend. I think you think you can be in League, and people would like you. Oh, Shadow Shaman. I think it's either this or low impact, honestly. Um, I think we'll need to do, or we can do slight rework. I think slight rework would be okay. So the thing with Shadow Shaman is that you pick him to push towers, to take down towers. Shadow Shaman. He casts this thing where a bunch of little ghost snakes go and attack something. Actually, no. This will be a little difficult because you do need to target them to something, or if they just attack things randomly. And that wouldn't be useful. But that would probably no. Okay, no. We'll be. I think we'll do a slight rework because it would need to change how Shackles works. Because Shackles is like just a point and click like channeled stun for like a long time, and that's annoying as hell. I think a way to change this and to make it like bearable is to make it like kind of like Victor, where like you get slowed until like a few seconds. If you don't get out of the range, then you're stunned for the rest of the duration. He also has polymorph again. I don't think there's any way we can change that to be not annoying as fuck and a shitty Luke. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Unhealthy. Like, no, I'm saying his abilities out loud. Like, they're gonna be way too annoying to deal with. And I don't think there's any real way to change them that isn't just kind of gutting him as a character. Enemy has silencer. I think Imba. Yeah, so as you can tell, his main thing is that he silences people. The thing about that is that the main thing is global silence. It's exactly what it sounds like. It silences everybody for a while, globally, and there's nothing you can do about it. That alone just kind of makes it unbelievably overpowered. His other abilities aren't like terrible. This is probably his worst ability. He gets a little bit of true damage for like mana stealing. He also can steal mana, but that probably won't be in the game. Arcane Curse just de-incentivizes you to cast abilities. It will refresh itself if you do. It deals damage. And then last word, after a couple seconds, you will just be silenced, and you can't really do anything about that. I think all these together, and Dota 2 is not that strong, but in League of Legends, because there's not really many tools to like dispel and that type of thing, this character would be obscenely impressive. Although he like can die like pretty easily, he has no mobility. Yeah. So I think Silencer would be an imbalanced character. My skeleton king here. All right, Skywrath Mage. He's just kind of an annoying, spammy spellcaster. Uh, doesn't have to aim anything, but the spells travel really slowly. The thing about him is he can like nuke one dude out of orbit with his ultimate, but it needs to be one dude. If not, then it just doesn't do anything. He does have a point click stun. Not stun, a silence that also amps his damage. I think we have to put him in unhealthy because all he does is just spam spells at you that all deal damage. And if you're on the threshold to kill him, then you just die. Yeah, no, annoying. Slaughter. I want to put him in. See, he's just like an annoying character. I think we'll put him in. I don't think he needs tweaks or reworks. But he's also not low impact. We'll put him here. See, the thing that I want to talk about Slardar is that his role in the game is this ability, Corrosive Haze, where he basically just picks a character to reduce their armor by like a lot. So if you pick it on like a carry, then like they're just gonna die if he gets on them, or like Zed gets on them and just immediately kills them. I think this kind of, and it also affects like monsters. So if you put it on Baron, it like dies, or like you can make it so that Dragon dies immediately. Aside from that, there's like I have a problem with Bash because after 3 attacks, your next attack will stun. You could set up on creep, so every time you like walk up to like hit Fiora, then like she's stunned, and then you run away. It's like a very hit and run type thing. I would probably want this to be changed into what I don't know, but something that isn't like as annoying. This is also just like a regular slow, like this is just like a regular stun, like 8.8 seconds. It's not long at all. And this is just his like speed up ability, so he can get in because no blink dagger, so he need to flash ghost, run at people, and then press his W, and then pick one person to try and beat the shit out of. See, I don't think this character like design would be egregious in League of Legends. It's just he might be too weak. He might be too weak, honestly. Because, like, in a team fight, he just doesn't do anything. He'd be a side laning beast. Because, like, who would be able to fight him? But even then, some side laners could probably just beat the shit out of him. Like, maybe York can probably just beat him. K-Sante would probably just beat him. Garen maybe would beat him. I'll do a little impact. He's very single target, and like I would need to see it like actually executed in game. Slark. It's a very slippery type character. He also steals stats, but like temporarily. The thing about Slark is just not very strong. he just doesn't he like wins wars of attrition. That's like what he does. Uh, so like team fights, he's like hard to deal with. So let me actually just show. I should probably just show what I mean. So the thing about Slark is like he has like pretty clear counterplay, but like in certain times where like if you can't like burst him down immediately, he's like extremely annoying to deal with. Like if we look at this, to keep a track on his, yeah, he's losing stats like his HP, slow mana, his armor is getting stolen by Slark. He takes it for himself. And it's like, oh, I need to be able to, I'm fighting back. You know, he presses this button, and oh, I can't see him. I actually can't hit him. He's still affected by AOE attacks and stuff like that, but yeah. But that also is hard because he has a self dispelling ability. After during that whole explosion, he can't be stunned or slowed or silenced or anything. Yeah. He also has like an okay mobility tool that can be that leashes when it lands on somebody, meaning that like it just they can't get away, and their mobility tools are not able to be used. It's like a shittier version of ground, basically. Um, I don't know. He's like weak to AOE because he can still be hit while under Shadow Dance. And the fact that there is no BKB means that like he can't really block it that well. So like I'm imagining he just gets smited in the ground by Asol, or like Asol in general just kind of kills him because like he can't do anything to beat him. And like who else? Like if he's in the it's like in the middle of like he's low and then a random Jinx rocket just hits the person next to him and he just dies. Like that's the thing I'm thinking about. But like stat ceiling is like pretty really annoying in the middle of a fight. I think he just might need to be reworked slightly to like make it so that he can be able to do his job. Otherwise, he'd probably just be in a like a 100 to 0 matchup with against a tank who can't do anything against him, and like what's the fun in that? You would just feed off the tank the entire time, be impossible to kill. It would just be like Trundle, but like a lot less effective, honestly. In fact, I'll just put him packed. Sniper. He kind of just sits in autos and then mini stuns people on his autos, and then yeah, that's kind of it. He has Caitlyn ultimate. It's better though, but it's still kind of Caitlyn. It's kind of a Caitlyn ultimate. You can't block it though. I think he'd just be unhealthy. The fact that he just stands behind everybody and if someone gets to him, he kind of just dies immediately. He has no mobility tools. He has no BKB, Blink Dagger, Force Staff, any of that. No on-demand invis from like Shadow Blade, so he'll just die. Yeah, no, I don't think he'd be healthy for it. Because then if he just goes to town, he's just untouchable and can't be killed. Spectre. How do I feel about Spectre? Slight rework actually, because I think Spectre is almost there to be like a decent type of carry. The only thing is she has this ability reality where Shadow Step. She just picks one character to like basically spawn a shadow, and then she teleports them, and then it just tries to beat the shit out of. That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool ability. It's global, so she could just appear anybody. And but if they have no chance of like dying, then it's kind of a pointless waste. But he's in there, help out anybody who wants to fight. Could be yeah. But the thing that would probably be most annoying is this dispersion ability. It's just flat damage reduction, which some characters already have, like Keston has that, and Fizz to a little lesser extent. But there's no way to combat this other than just dealing more damage. And in some ways, you could just sneak in like kills that she didn't deserve. I think if we were to change this ability to make it more active. Like if this were like an active ability rather than a passive ability, I think this character would actually have a pretty good place in Dota 2. But as is, this is a little problematic. A tanky, like somewhat assassin-y fighter character. Yeah, don't think that should be there. So we need to rework that slightly. Spirit Breaker, I hate this fucking guy. Very one note. Because the way this character works is that he has this ability, Charge of Darkness, where it's point and click. It's point and click. Most abilities in Dota 2 are point and click, so yeah. But the issue with this type of character is that it is global, meaning that it's, if we are all the way down here, where'd it go? Where's Magnus? Okay, so it's all the way down here. Oh man, I can't get to him. Yeah, no, psych. Yeah, I'm going across the fucking the map to fucking beat your ass. And this is a basic ability. And if once I get levels, there's an ability called Greater Bash where once I meet him, AoE knock up stun. Like this is such a fucking annoying ass ability. There is counterplay in that, like, if you see him coming, you can call out to your team like, hey, Spirit Breaker's on the way. And since Shadowblade's not in League of Legends, you will always see him. He'll probably make a sound also to let you know that he's coming. But if you don't have means to stop him, he's just gonna plow through everybody. Oh, here we go. Like, oh geez, fuck. And then his ultimate is a point click, just teleport stun, like assassinate tool. Like, yeah. Also, he has a bash that will always proc whenever he charges, but when he just randomly just runs on, hits people, like it can just, it's a knockback stun. It's like the best bash in the game. Yeah. Yeah. Just from all that, I think he might be unhealthy. Yeah. Next we have Storm Spirit. The thing about Storm Spirit is like kind of redundant to Kassadin, honestly, where he has like a teleportation button. R. It's not teleportation in terms of ball lightning, and wherever you pick, you just zip to it. It costs a lot of mana, but that's why you would pick him. You would just zip across the fights, hitting people with your empowered autos. But I don't know, like this type of character in Dota 2, I mean League of Legends, probably not good idea. Essentially, since this character already exists, and Kassadin would, yeah, it already exists basically. Next we have Sven. I think Sven's close to good addition. However, he needs a slight rework, and the reason I would say that is not due to an ultimate or anything, but really one specific ability. Well, his ultimate is also comes into question, where his ultimate is like a damage multiplier, which is pretty bonkers. Like, we're just gonna level up to max. If we look at the scaling, it's bonus damage, nearly 190%. That's hard. That's really high. Look at my natural attack damage. I press it. That's so much damage. That is so much damage. And like he has natural cleave, so he can like flash farm really fast in order to get his items. This also scales with crit, so if he gets like an infinity edge, like he crits for like 700 per auto if he's lucky. And he's like naturally kind of tanky, but I think like the way like the counterplay against him is that he's pretty easy to kite. Like the only thing he can do is like run at you unless Stormhammer is in the game, where it's an AoE point click stun. This kind of needs to be changed if this character wants to be in League of Legends, where it's either like a skill shot, a really easy short range skill shot that people can dodge easily, or like it needs to be like a point, not a point click, but a short range skill shot slow, so that people are able to just flash away. Also, because there's no blink dagger or BKB, he's like easy to like kite, like really easy. Like you just get a Malzahar, press R on him after he presses ultimate. Oh, I'm just dead, guys. Like I'm sorry, and then he just fucking get bursted down and dies. Like, and then he's like out. He's like he can't. Next time he respawns, he needs to wait until he can cast his ultimate again. Because without ultimate, this character just kind of runs around and just hits people with a wet noodle. Yeah, like what runs around slowly with a wet noodle and hits people with it. AoE hits him with the wet noodle, but wet noodle otherwise. So for that reason, we're probably gonna put him in slight rework, tweaks and rework. Mainly Stormhander needs to be changed in a way that's healthy for people to kind of play with. Um, Techies can't. We're just not gonna do it. We're not gonna fucking. Yeah, techies. Best way to describe him: Teemo Mine as a character. Yeah, no one wants to play against that. It's annoying as shit. His mere existence will just guaranteed add 20 minutes to your game, easily. Yeah. Moving on. Templar Assassin. Templar Assassin. I think this character is like. This is like a very rigid character in Dota 2, where like her character is like pretty solved and like her build path and everything. She is an assassin, but like in a very unorthodox way, where she's basically a ranged character that starts in melee, but as she gets further into the game, she gets more range. Kind of like Tristana, but in a much more extreme sense. So as you can see, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna try and attack. This is my auto attack range. I am a range character. Wow, amazing. But I put into levels. Okay, that's like a little better. But then we level up to max. Okay, I'm a character now. The only thing that I'd say would be, I guess, Sideblades, I think, would be a pretty interesting mechanic where if you stand directly behind what she's attacking, the chance will travel over, but it'll be pure. So I think that's pretty interesting. I think the Refraction Shield, I'm tentative of how it would work in League of Legends, as the way it loses... it's like an invulnerability shield, but it loses charges based on instances of damage rather than damage barrier. I mean, there is a damage barrier, but like it's not very high. Yeah, as you can see here, it's like 30. It's a 30 damage threshold for it to be broken. So I think it's a pretty interesting way to deal with invulnerability. So she's like weaker to like DOT characters than she is to burst damage. She does have an invisibility, but she can only like stand still while doing it. But the benefit is like it's a guaranteed crit that reduces armor. Her ultimate is just a trap. It's like Jin Trap, which can be used to chase people down. I think she would... honestly, TA could probably be a very specialist character who's pretty healthy, honestly. I think we'll put her in good addition. The way she'll exist in the game is like for very like specific players or in specific situations, but people who like want to dedicate time to TA, they could probably get really good at her, and in a way that's like pretty easy to deal with, or not easy to deal with, but like a fair way to deal with. Next is Terrorblade. I just don't think he can be in the game, for the simple fact that like he is also illusion based, and the illusions in this case are, I think he's probably the most involved with his illusions. Yeah. Also, like, he has like two ultimates basically, because of how he just exists as a character. I didn't take it to base stats a lot with a lot of characters, because a lot of them are kind of interchangeable. They're just small things. But Terrorblade is a very specific instance where he has the lowest base health in the game, like 500. That's pretty low, but has the highest armor in the game. So against like certain like
melee physical attacking characters, he kind of just like shrugs off their attacks, but against like a ranged character, a ranged mate, a ranged magic character, he just kind of explodes and dies. He's like super exploitable in that sense. But the main thing is conjure image, or like yeah, like this is his main farming method, because this base form of our Terrorblade is like not good, but the way you would need for this character to work is, this is the cool part. It is metamorphosis, where he just becomes like the best like base unit in the game, where he becomes range, gets a ton of damage. I think he also gains armor. No, his auto attacks just get better, but like because of this, he requires his like he requires his illusions to be like manually controlled, so they can like farm efficiently and like be able to fight with him or like farm away from him. Otherwise, like this character basically just cannot function. He'd just be too weak and way too exploitable. So we're just gonna have to put him into can't. Cool character, but unfortunately can't. Tide Hunter. He is the anti carry. Um, he's a very straightforward character. He's just super tanky, hard to kill. He has a he has a team fight ultimate that's um very large, very iconic. It's called Ravage. When you get multiple people stunned in Dota, they just call it a big Ravage. They just call it Ravage because Ravage is easy to land. He has anti carry abilities like reducing damage if you get hit by them, and like natural damage block. Um, yeah, very self explanatory. Weak to magic damage because this damage block does not apply to magic damage. So yeah, if you just cast spells on him, or if you have a guy who just hits really hard, it just overwhelms the damage block. So yeah, I think Tide Hunter can be good. Yeah, just sit tight in the top lane. Yeah, and when the time comes, although he doesn't have flash, so him getting on top of the carry to reduce their damage would be a little bit hard. But I think it still should be fine if you can ravage properly. If you ravage properly, then like you could probably get on them and then like be a nuisance. Timber. I don't know if Timber can be in the game, honestly, because of maybe how not Chakram, but like what is he cooking to? Because of the way Timber Saw works, he like plays with trees, and if trees aren't in the game, then he doesn't do anything. Then like Whirling Death is just damage removal or stat removal, and like Timber Chain. What is he Timber Chaining to? Because like the trees are his identity, because like he actually just works with the trees all the time. I think he just needs to be cans. If there are no trees, then what's the point? Then we have Tinker. I don't think he can. There's wait. He has. I don't think he can. Just the ability to refresh spells. Yeah, I think he just has the ability to refresh spells. And resets the cooldown in Tinker's abilities. Oh, it just refreshes abilities. I think this ability is just like itself is just way too strong. And he has like kind of spammable, annoying abilities to clear out lanes. He also has this ability which lets him target like TP to anybody or anything. Yeah, it's just way too much. This character can do way too much, and put him in League of Legends, he's just gonna run the game. Tiny. How do I feel about Tiny? I think for Tiny, we'll put slight rework, because the way he's almost there, but the issue with Tiny is that specifically one ability, Toss. Toss is targeted in a very strange way, grabs the nearest unit in a 300 radius. So this is really ambiguous to know who the closest target to Tiny is. It's just, you can just think, hey, look at the model next to Tiny, sure. But if it's like there's like a random creep that's like one unit closer to you, he'll just grab the creep, and instead of tossing the enemy, he tosses the creep.
And if it's like an ally, he'll just accidentally toss your ally into somewhere and like grief him and lose a kill. That's like the only reason like I would put him in slight rework, because this has worked for as long as Tiny has existed. And aside from that, I don't think like this would be really annoying to deal with. You would need to be able to make it so that you need to specifically tell Tiny what to grab and so he can throw it away. The rest of the abilities I think are really cool. Avalanche, a staggering stun. It's pretty large, but costs a lot of mana. Accompanied with toss, it increases the damage, so he can do a lot of burst damage early. Tree grab, even though like it doesn't, he he does need a tree, but we can make it so that he just takes like a big like a branch from the ground, and like he walks around with like an powered few autos for like a lot of damage. And grow is like a really cool like ultimate where it doesn't do anything, but he gets a ton of stats from it. Um, and yeah, he can like he's like strong, and like when he decides to pick up a tree and like hit people with. Yeah, I think Tiny has a place. But he needs that toss needs to be changed. There's way too much potential for that to go horribly wrong. Tree Ant Protector. Well, there are no trees, and he kind of needs trees to like do something with. And if he were to do like play around in the bushes, like just kind of just jacking Ivern's thing. Also, he doesn't really do anything without trees, so I don't think he can. Okay, yeah, I just can't. Like he needs trees, and there are no trees. Troll Warlord. So my initial feeling is that this character. The thing about this Troll Warlord character is like he's just auto attacker, the carry, but like his ultimate is a combination of Briar W and Tryndamere ultimate, and that's really really bad to deal with. So with that fact alone, he can't. I'm sorry, Troll, you can't be in the game. I mean, it's a bit unhealthy if you were to join. Then we have Tuskar. Tusk. I think he'd be good. I think he'd be a good character. He has really creative, unique spells. He's a unique initiator in that sense. Where Snowball, it is a point and click stun, but it's in a way that's like unique where you can see the snowball coming and like you can prepare for it. He was invincible, but like if it's just him by himself, you can just probably kill. He's really bad at farming, so you don't need to worry about getting a lot of money and just outright killing you most of the time. Ice Shards is a pretty unique ability where it creates impassable terrain, but like the targeting is like kind of strange, so you can easily just grief it. Like, I undershoot it. Guys, I can't get him. I'm sorry. I accidentally saved him. Then drinking buddies. Oh, this is a facet. He has another facet where he has another replacement ability where he just like creates a field around him, and anyone who gets hit by him gets slowed. I think that's a pretty decent way to trade. And like Walrus Punch is just a knock-up stun. A knock-up crit stun, sorry. It doesn't do that much damage, he's only level 1, but yeah, I think Tusk could add a lot to the game. Pretty good initiation, really unique spells, some good disruption. And also like since he doesn't hit creeps that well, he's not really even item reliant, which is actually really cool because all of his base spells are just useful generally. Yeah, Tusk, you can come into the club. Get in. Uh, we have two we have two agility characters in Good Edition. That's really funny. Um, we have Underlord. I think for Underlord, we'll put him in slight rework. The only reason I say that is for one ability. Well, actually, no, two abilities are kind of problematic. Actually, all of his abilities might need a little small adjustment. So, Firestorm is a pretty simple like is like make it rain, but like doesn't slow, but does a lot of like damage. It can be easily clear waves, which would be annoying for a tanky character like him. Pit of Malice is the one ability I'm really looking at where like once it appears, if you touch the pit, then like you're rooted, and then a reapplicable root like that can be annoying. I think the way to change this is that you can't get rooted by that. Like if you first step into it, you need to be in it for like a little bit. You need to be in it a little bit of time. Then the disable will happen, and you just need to learn to get out of it. An atrophy aura will just need to be more active because as it is like even at level 1, a 6% damage reduction. That's kind of a big deal. Some characters will kind of need that damage reduction. His ultimate I think is fine. It just creates hex gates. Like nothing too crazy. So, for Underlord, where'd he go? Oh yeah, I put him in slight rework. Undying is unhealthy. The reason I say this is because Undying has a Undying's main thing is that he can steal health and give it to himself, and he has Tombstone, which is just it's a totem that you create. It spawns like slowing creeps that are auto target to you, and they only die if you destroy the Tombstone, which is really annoying. Um, yeah, the fact that he just steals health, he's just a lane dominator. But outside of lane, he kind of just doesn't do anything, and I don't. It's not a very engaging like way to design a character for League of Legends, just being a lane dominator and then basically doing nothing afterwards. Yeah, so we're gonna be unhealthy for the game. Ursa Warrior. The thing about Ursa is that like I think honestly, as kind of crazy as it sounds, he might be a good addition. I don't know if he's a good addition. I think I should just explain. I think I should explain this more. So the thing with Ursa, why you would ever pick Ursa is that he is a character, not at as he's like a character who's not reliant on stats. He's more item reliant than anything. Where he needs to this ability right here, Fury Swipes. It's infinite stacking damage on one person the more he hits them, and he has things that enable him to hit him more. Like this gives him maximum attack speed for like a couple autos. So he's like extremely good against tanks, but his issue is that he gets fucking kited to shit because he doesn't have much mobility, and it would be doubly so because there is no blink dagger. Although Ghost might remedy some of that, but he needs to be continually hitting them. He has no CC, so he would need to rely on someone doing that. Basher's not in League of Legends, so it would be like a weird thing where like people keep on running away from him, and he would like get in a couple smacks. Um, his ultimate just makes it so that he's just hard to like stop moving, but like it doesn't increase his movement speed at all. The thing is, like, he's like the man fighterest of man fighters, aside from Troll Warlord. Um, he'd be a pretty cheesy pick in top lane. He can exist in jungle, and like he quickly like burst someone down. There's also niches that like because his attacks are physical damage, they work with lifesteal. So it's a very common strategy for Ursa to go in and kill like the big neutral monster at really early levels because he can just do that because he has basically infinite stacking damage as long as they keep on hitting him. But other than that, like I don't know really. Like he could cheese out a Rift Herald pretty easily. Dragon he could just take, but that's like not unique to him. He would just take it faster than every other character. Baron he could probably solo. He like sneak a Baron really quick. He probably won't need like his teammates' help to do that. I don't know how I feel about a character whose like main draw is that you can like immediately take objectives and like kind of fight 1v1 pretty well. It's a very specialized role. I will say he would secure objectives really well, which Nunu does do, but Nunu can do other things than that. I'm trying to think like what would be a positive matchup. Like Sion would probably just crumble under him because like you just keep getting hit by him. Like tanks would just like hate him. He would just be a tank killer. All. Mm, yeah, it does just say fuck you to tanks. Mm, He's not low impact. I don't think he needs a rework either. It's just whether or not like the way he like plays the game and interacts with everybody and objectives is fine. I'll I can put him in good addition. I think he has enough like weaknesses and clear defined strengths that he's not a character you'll like pick every single time, but like when it shows up like an okay spot to go, you can like probably make him work. Mm, Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit, I think, pretty simple. I think she'd be good. The thing with Vengeful Spirit, you would pick mainly for her swapping ability. It's what Urgot used to have, and then they kind of removed that concept from the game, which I think is a good concept. In fact, you can give her the same channel ability that Urgot has, make it even a shorter range, and there you go. You got a pretty solid support. She has a point and click stun. You can make that. You can make that a skill shot if you want. That's fine. Um, in fact, you do need to probably change her abilities a little bit. Um, Wave of Terror kind of just hits everything everywhere. It's just easy like armor reduction for like no reason, and like Vengeance Aura, it's a lot of damage and it's very high. You would probably need to change that in a way to make it an AOE like activatable ability. But other than that, Venge is pretty solid. We just do need to tweak how the abilities work. Venomancer, I think this is just a low impact character. Venomancer is like a character who goes around like hitting people with DOT, somewhat slowing attacks. He creates plague wards, which are annoying. They're like very weak versions of cyber plants, but he can spawn them anywhere. And they're physical damage, so they won't proc like Leandries or anything. Or like Rallies. Venomous Gale. Venomous Gale is like just like a strong skill shot slow, but like it doesn't really do anything other than that. Yeah. And Poisoning is just like a debuff, like he just on every auto attack. It's kind of like Brand passive, but it's not percentage based, and it slows a little bit. It would maybe still interact with the Leandries, but that's something that can always be changed. And honestly, it shouldn't be working like that. And like his ultimate is like a point and click like spreading plague that does like a max health damage. Kind of like you would pick him for this ultimate, but the ultimate itself just like it will do a lot of damage if they're grouped up. Is he actually a good addition to this game? Like it's mainly about like how much his number. It's five max damage is okay. We're not gonna do low impact, even though I really don't like this character. He might have a place in League of Legends as like a consistent slowing character with like annoying units, but like they're kind of like they last a long time and like they're there to really scout. Kind of supportive in that sense. They're not as annoying as Heimerdinger turrets. They kind of just are there to be somewhat annoying. Mainly there for like scouting purposes, and then we have Ultimate, which we could also change that to be a skill shot or to point and click, and it makes it so that people spread out like a way that isn't like immediate to them. Yeah, okay. I think I convinced myself he might be a decent addition. Venom. No, this is Viper. Viper. How do I feel about Viper? The thing about Viper is just like a lane bully. He's like a mid lane bully. He could also be a bot laner, but like the bot, he just falls off really late game. Viper Strike is like a anti carry ultimate, slows attack speed, movement slow, and does damage over time. Aside from that, he doesn't do really much. He has an attack speed slow also. He'd be a very niche character. He's mainly a counter pick. I think that'd be unhealthy though. If like you come across a character who really just likes to just fight all the time, like a set, you just press your W on him. It's like, wow, I can't fight. Okay, I guess gotta run away. Or you put it on an Ashe, just standing there autoing, and you press your R on them, they're out of the fight. I don't think that would be fun to deal with. Visage can't. Main reason is these birds that he summons, and these are actually units that you need to actually micro. They have an ability called Stormfirm where they can just drop and stun people, and if you can't control them, they don't do anything else. Yeah. So Visage, yeah, you can't be in the game. Warlock, I think this is also a can't, honestly. Either can't or unhealthy. Because his ultimate is really redundant to Annie's ultimate. He just summons a big motherfucker to beat the shit out of people. Granted, it is stronger than Tibbers, but that's still like Tibbers' thing. It's a big motherfucker that comes out and beats the shit out of people. Also, like, not good as Daisy. I'm tempted to put him into can't because he doesn't serve any other niche other than like Fatal Bonds, which spreads out damage to whoever it like targets. The rest of the abilities aren't that useful. Upheaval can be useful, but it's a channeled ability which can be easily stopped. It is pretty big. Yeah, it slows them to nearly like 100% basically. Yeah, 100% slow, which does not put your movement speed to 0. I think we'll just put him. I'll put him. Unhealthy, because he's kind of. His reason you would pick him is way too overlapping with another character. Yeah. Weaver. How do I feel about Weaver? So, he is a ranged auto attacker with Aurora W that lasts much longer, meaning that it's invisibility and you can't see him unless, like, really at all. So he just runs across. Actually, no. A better comparison is Vayne Ultimate. He just presses the button and he goes invisible until he decides to cop out and hit you, and then it can go invisible again on a basic ability. And his ultimate is Echo. Echo ult without the damage. Ugh, no, he's just too annoying. Wind Runner, this character. The reason why is she has two abilities where she is 100% evade. Has 1% evasion with like the highest movement speed, and picks one person to consistently auto attack until they die. So she just follows you and trails you and paper cuts you until death. And if that's not good enough, she has a very generous Bard stun. So, no, I don't. This character cannot be there. Winter Wyvern. Is this Imba? This might be Imba. Because Winter's Curse is. The main reason you would ever pick Winter Wyvern is for Winter's Curse, which is similar to Renato's Ultimate. However, what makes it different from Renato Ultimate is that it makes the person you cast it on invincible to everyone except for the person you cast it on. So one person is getting jumped by their own teammates, while you have to kind of just sit back and watch, and hopefully they die. Meaning that there is pretty high grief potential if you use this wrong, because then you just save like the enemy carry. But it can just straight up turn a fight immediately, or like a good initiation tool. You flash blink onto the enemy, I guess Renata, yeah, and the Jinx right next to him, and the Maokai and the Zed just start wailing on Renata until she dies. Yeah. She also has free pathing, which makes her mobility pretty good. And Cold Embrace is a max HP health restoration ability, but it blocks all physical damage. Might be a little toxic against certain comps. The more I talk about this character, it might be Imba. I think it might be Imba. Just the ease of use with all of her abilities and her ultimate just winning team fights. I think that's kind of convinced me a little bit. Next up, Witch Doctor. Is this another Imba character? This might be another Imba character. Yeah. With Witch Doctor, the main things to do is that every ability of his is good. So, the one thing you would pick Witch Doctor for is the ultimate Death Ward. It's just another summon, but the thing is, this can't die. You need to kill Witch Doctor or stop his channel, which normally wouldn't be an issue. But this Death Ward deals a shitload of damage. So, here we go. So, we have the Magnus. Here we go. Give me free spells. Level 30 Magnus. Alright, he's getting went on. Yeah, this is just... He needs to be able to either run away or like stun him, and he spend some time stopping the Witch Doctor. But that's not even the worst part, because he has Maledict, one of the strongest burst damage abilities in the game. Basically, how it works is every time you lose health since the start of your cast, it just does a percentage of that to you again. It's very hard. It's like a very hard ability to grasp your head around, but the idea is that if you take damage while this curse is on you, it will pulse and you'll deal like 50% of the damage again. So it lasts a long ass time. So you can imagine how annoying that is to play against. He also has Voodoo Restoration, which is a heal, like a toggleable heal that's big as hell and heals for a decent amount, even at low levels, but it costs a lot of mana. And Paralyze and Cast, just think of Brand Ultimate, but it stuns on each bounce. Yeah. So all that combined creates a support that can probably 1v2 a lane. Yeah, fuck this guy. I hate him. Yeah, so Imba, fuck you. Wraith King. We're almost done technically, but there's a couple characters that are missing, which are not in the list. They're missing 3 characters. Well, I'll just talk about who we're missing. So next is Wraith King, the King of Wraiths. Where do I want to put him? He might be either good addition or Imba. The thing with Wraith King, why you would pick him, is he is a kind of lumbering big carry who can hit pretty hard, but yeah, his own passive crit. It's a pretty decent crit, 280%. Uh, the thing with him is that he's also he's like steals lifesteal a lot, an aura of lifesteal. It's not aura lifesteal. But the thing you would pick Wraith King for is that he has 2 lives innately. His ultimate makes it so that whenever he dies, he doesn't. He just comes back again with full HP. And if characters have like long cooldowns or initiations, then they have to either kill everyone around Wraith King before he's able to hit people, or kill him at the very start of the fight and then fight him again with some fewer resources, but not have to worry about him dying in the middle of the fight and then coming back to beat everyone's ass. He also has a stun. It's point and click, which can always be changed to be a skill shot. The thing about Wraith King is like he's very immobile, which could be a detriment because there's, like I said, no blink dagger, but he has flash ghost, and also teleport to basically need to kill him 3 times in lane if he's in the top lane. Because after he dies, he like just teleports and he's back. All right, what'd I miss? It also makes jungle ganks kind of awkward because with a lot of revive passives like with Zac and Anivia, it's kind of annoying to gank them because if it's kind of on a razor's edge and they kind of just live, they just go back. But those are on like not so much carries. This is on a carry. I'm really tempted to put him in Imba. I think we will have to put him in Imba. Yeah, okay. So next up, our technical last. It's not our last. We have. I'll need to talk about 3 more, 4 more characters. Excuse me. In the last part of the video. Zeus. Now, unfortunately, we'll have to end this off in a really kind of whimper because Zeus. I play him a bunch. Unfortunately, he's just not a character who's interesting in League of Legends. He is big bursty magic guy. His ultimate is just Karthus' ultimate, but worse. It just does less damage. It gives True Sight, which can be useful. It's sometimes more beneficial late game to use it for the vision rather than for the damage. He does have a mobility option, but it's just a forward leap that he can't control where he jumps from. And 2 generic spell nukes. This jumps sometimes, and this one provides a mini stun. It does give vision, which is kind of unique, but I don't know. I think if it were added to League, he just wouldn't really be doing much. Okay, so those are all the characters that this list had. There are a few that are missing, and I will add them in right now. Okay, so I retrieved the missing characters. There are apparently 7 who were left off. This has been an old list. Yeah, ignore the skeleton guy here. He's just chilling. So let's finish this off, and yeah, start with Dawnbreaker. Now, Dawnbreaker is she's like probably the most League character in this roster. Honestly, how I feel about Dawnbreaker is that she probably fit League like extremely well. Like she has a lot in her kit that is very League reminiscent, especially with like her W and her Q kind of combo related tools, and her attack modifier, which is she has a innate Divine Sunder that applies to other heroes. yeah, so we'll have this Mac. So what I mean is this is very. Oh no, my friend's getting beat the shit out of. Oh, I need to. I'll play this character. Yeah, there we go. So we get some HP. Yeah, and then we have her Q, which is this just seems like a League ability, and especially her W, where she just throws out a hammer, and she just meets halfway into it. Then a slowing trail, and her ultimate. This is it's reminiscent to Galio ultimate, but it does a little more. Heals, does damage, and lands stuns. Like, I don't know. If there's ever a League of Legends coded character in Dota 2, it would be Dawnbreaker, um, which makes her pretty easy to rate. She is going to go into the good addition. Like, she might as well have been already in the game. Alright, next up. Hoodwink. God, I don't like this character. I kind of really hate her, actually. So the thing about Hoodwink is that I think what she can do is she does add something to the League. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. She just might be a little too underwhelming to really contribute much. Because her main thing is that she's a pretty annoying nuisance in team fights. She can like place down a tree, which goes in tandem to her bushwhack, which is a pretty lengthy stun. But she needs the tree to be there, and since there are no natural trees, she has to make the point of contact, or she could just choose not to and just have a bouncing cask basically between enemies, which they scales off of her damage, I'm pretty sure. And she just has a pretty simple speed of moving. Just think of move quick, but in trees she's supposed to go through it, but there are no trees, so she's just move quick that gives a little bit of evasion, which can be annoying. What I would be most curious about is her R, which is a charged skill shot that kind of is aimed like you're trying to turn a Cyan ultimate, and when you do hit somebody with it, it breaks. Break is a Dota 2 unique effect where it just disables passive effects, meaning that I guess passive buffs like probably Kassadin, damage reduction will be removed. Passive I'm trying to think what other passive abilities will be removed. Like Nasus lifesteal will probably be disabled. Riven One Gate, attack damage from her passive. Rengar probably wouldn't be able to jump from bushes, that type of thing. I don't know if that would be like broken against certain characters or it would be not useful against some characters. Of course, like it would be how League of Legends determines what a passive ability to be broken would be. Or if not, it could just be like a pretty long range magic nuke that does a lot of damage. I can imagine her being in mid where like they're running away and then you just charge up this ability and you just shoot. It also could be used as a tool for escaping because it does knock her backwards, which she does cross over walls and trees with this, so maybe you could do that. Just quickly tap and she just bounces away. Honestly, I don't really know. Like, the stun effect is pretty good and it is AoE, but she has to be the one to create it. I think if we just adjust the stun and like the tree and the scurry, I think she can find a place. I think her kit is almost good enough to do something. So yeah, we're gonna put that there. Next we have Marcy, one of my least favorite characters in the game. And as much as I really dislike her, she actually kind of fits into League kind of well. So the reason she looks like this is she's from the Netflix show that nobody watched, but it kind of sucked anyway. So whatever. what to talk about Marcy? She's a very initiating type character who likes to fight. Yeah, she likes to fight. She has pretty simple ability. She has a singed flip. I think she can also cast it on allies, which can be pretty unique to her. The only and she has this leaping off ability that's vector targeted. So yeah, I think this is kind of a unique way to vector target a jump. Although landing will be a stun, which they'll need to remove, and her ultimate makes it so that how who would it be the most unique way? She just gets a bunch of autos, just rapidly strikes. She gets a ton of life steal at the end of it. No, she doesn't get life steal. She just punches really fast, has a shockwave at the end of it. Yeah, this just does so much damage. Scales really well with items. Honestly, like her in the top lane, she kind of be a terror. You can even see her in jungle, and then randomly while you're fighting Ornn, she just comes out of nowhere onto you as the Trundle, jumps on Ornn, flips him backwards, and then beats the shit out of him, and you dies. Like really engaging. I love it. But that's not that's not the goal right now. Is if she can go into League of Legends, she probably can. Although I think she'd be Imba. Like the fact she can just do so much. She can do so much, jump off of people. Her range to jump off of people is really high. The vector targeting is makes her very versatile to where she wants to go. And the ultimate is just insane. She just throws out 5 auto attacks immediately, and it makes it impossible to get away from her. Okay. Next we have Muerta. Really, a character I really enjoyed playing, but they changed way too much to make me enjoy her. This is a pretty. Where would how would she fit? Honestly, she would be more in line with a traditional AD carry. The thing of it that would make it a little odd is her attack modifier is a little strange where it she randomly can decide to hit another character unless it's just the same enemy. In that case, she double attacks it. So randomly she can decide to just deal double damage, which not particularly healthy, I'd say. She has a really unique skill shot, dead shot, where she can it's another vector targeting where you pick a unit, or in this case a piece of environment, but a unit. The first shot bounces off and fears. Pretty unique. A lot of cool trick shots can do it. The calling is a really annoying, I hate this ability, where they create these ghosts. If they run into it, they get silenced, and it is repeatable. And her ultimate, very strange, where all of her physical damage turns into magic, and she's unable to be attacked by auto and physical damage. Yeah, so the fact that her attacks deal magic damage puts in a new level of, I guess, damage calculation to her, where if you're against like a heavily armored team, you could just press your ultimate and then just go to town, and they won't be able to like fight back. You're versus like Tarek Malphite, and there comes a full armored Rammus, and you press your R, and they just immediately die. That's one way to do it. But if you're against a character, like a team with like a lot of magic resistance, you would never change to your ultimate, which would be kind of odd to pick a character to not use her ultimate ever. It works in Dota too because magic resistance is pretty hard to come by, but in League of Legends, magic resistance in a lot of ways is a little overtuned and overpowered. So it's both a good and bad thing to have this ability. I do think Muerta has potential to create like a name for herself in League of Legends, but it's really really awkward and would probably need like a rework to how it all works out. Plus the RNG with her dead shot for the passive to even like happen, and her to target the right thing would need to be changed. Also in lane, she would like randomly decide to auto a random unit in lane, whether it be your support or a range creep that would probably mess up freezes, not push where you want to. Although you could toggle it. So there is that. But I think this character will need to be reworked a little bit if they were to go into League of Legends. Next we have Snapfire. Snapfire. What do you think about Snapfire? Snapfire is another unique character where her role isn't very defined. She's a very she kind of does like a lot of things okay, but nothing super nothing super well. The main thing that would be appealing is her cookie, where she just throws it onto the character and they just jump forward. It's forced movement for your partner, which can be used to get them out of sticky situations, and it does a stun. There is CC at the end of it. You also cast it on yourself, so you can stun somebody, but it's a jump. You always have to jump. She has a decent harassment tool of Little Shredder, where she just gets a bunch of attacks, 5 auto attacks each that reduce armor. Good for harassing, and her Q is just a run-of-the-mill blast. It's kind of like Kled, but it goes through units. Well, a dismounted Kled with units. And her R is automatic Zerath ultimate, meaning that you just click and it just goes, and you just right click, and then yeah, it does linger. So I think she would be a very aggressive supportive character who might potentially be able to go into a solo lane given the right opponent, but I feel like she still might get fucked up by certain characters. I don't know, because her kit is pretty strong. It's just, where would she, like, she has kind of somewhat of an identity crisis, but her main thing is, like, she wants to deal damage. I think it all kind of works together, though, strangely. I think she could be a good addition to the game, barring that some of her more damaging things get changed, and it's I'm not sure. The cookie is very strong. I don't think it'll be unhealthy, because I think she does like offer up a pretty unique experience in lane. I'll think a player tentatively pretty good. She'll be a good addition. Supporting, if you want to support that just scraps with you. Pretty lane dominant. Late game she would like be transition more into the utility. Though cookie have people go in, support from behind, artillery style. Yeah, I think that's satisfactory. Ringmaster, Jesus. Ringmaster is really like the strangest character flavor wise in Dota 2. He is a weird robot looking guy. There's really no one else like him, and there's no one else like him. Oh, Jesus. And he has a very unique passive where makes him have every single like the most spells out of any support character, because this is also another support. Now, honestly, this passive where he just gets new items to use, yeah, like this stuff, it doesn't matter. Like, we can just ignore that. It's not important to his kit, and they're just flavor, if anything. Honestly, despite how I might feel about Ringmaster, like just how he looks, he probably also wouldn't fit in League of Legends. He's just too strange. I think he's pretty suited for League, honestly. Like, he has very, like, his abilities are really unique, really cool.
changed the game in very different ways. For instance, his Q is it's a charged channel fear, but it only happens when you charge it up. Because if you just immediately do it, it is a really puny fear. Yeah, so the longer the fear, the more the fear and damage gets higher the longer you charge it, but the area effect gets smaller. I think that's pretty cool. He has one of the best saves in the game where you just put it on your ally and they are untargetable, but they can't do anything, so they just run around. They just run around in the box, and they can leave it once they get out of the circle. Super good save. I think that really makes him pretty good. Kind of like a Tom Kench eats, but there's more risk to the enemy because they can still get hit by AoE attacks. Like if in this instance, yeah, they're still hit by it, so they're not entirely invincible. They just can't get targeted. And then we have a long range poke. It does max HP damage, not a lot, but it's something. And his ultimate, I think, is really cool. He throws out this wheel, and it charms people to him, and then it explodes at the end. It's not really for the damage, but for CC. It only works if they look at it. So if no one looks at it, yeah. Honestly, Ringmaster, I think you're alright. I think you could come on into the club. So you can be a good addition. And last up, Primal Beast. The Primal Beast, who used to be a side game final boss, became a big motherfucker in Dota 2. It is a choice. So Primal Beast is he's a very all or nothing character. What I mean by that is he's a big unga bunga lumbering guy who needs to go in, create a lot of chaos, but if no one follows up with him, he just kind of dies. So he has a telegraph charge that charges, and then he runs through, stuns people. Yeah. And then W, which scales really strangely, where all of his AD is translated into magic damage. And if he walks over you, you just get fucked up. It deals a lot of damage. Yeah, so as you can see here, yeah. Kind of strange. Kind of reminds me of how old Alistar would use trample. Yeah, you could think of like Alistar trample, but it's meant to kill people instead of. So he's seeing. He has a very reactive E ability, which once he presses it at max axe, he gets a shit ton of armor and attack damage, which also helps with his W damage. And R, very simple point click stun. Primal Beast is. He would also have a little trouble existing in the League of Legends because despite that one ability, he's not super mobile and he kind of relies on movement speed to really do a lot of damage. So you would need to pretty much always go ghost on this guy. Maybe flash if you're just looking to flash, grab someone, and then make a bunch of big slams. And each slam like does a mini stun to everyone else. For you, Primal, I could see this character being really overpowered. Because if you can't stop, if you guys have no way to stop him, he just runs over the entire game and just rains terror. I'd say for now, when I'm talking about his kit in its entirety, very simple kit. There's a lot of room, I guess, for cool plays to be had with charge and how you use trample. We'll put. I don't think he needs any I don't think he needs any reworks to his kit, and I don't think if he were added, he would not do anything. I think he'd be a good addition, honestly.
Mm, yeah. So I think that's everybody. I'm not missing anybody. Uh, yeah. So one final look at the list. Um, yeah, that's who I think would be how I think the transition from Dota 2 characters to League of Legends would work. This video is probably long as hell. Thank you for watching. I will be going through the opposite with the League of Legends characters into Dota 2. I think there are more characters in League, so that video might be longer. But either way, uh, thanks for watching. If you disagree with any of this, I understand. Uh, yeah, thanks.